If the fence rests, let's lay it down. Gonna dig deep, wave that verdict round. The defense rests, time to analyze. With the evidence, we'll unveil the crime. Justice served in an honest fight. True crime tales till the verdict's right. Solving more than just trivial quests, where sentences rule at the defense rests.
Good morning. Surprise. Did you miss me? You did. Welcome. Welcome. I feel like I have not shown my face in a long time. It's a good thing for you. So if this is your first time here, welcome. And suffer in your jocks. If it's not, you'll know what suffering your jocks means. I'm Jodie. I'm the defence rests, and you just never know what happens on this channel. So a little bit of this, a little from column A, a little from column B. And good morning, Christine. How are you, sweetheart? It's been a messy night, very messy. Good morning. Hello. I'm here. I'm alive. Just. I'm alive. I couldn't get hold of Tanya. I've been sitting here waiting for her to do the stream, and yeah, no show. I don't know. So that went up in smoke. And then I was playing around with Karen Rea stuff and doing presentations ready for this trial, and I went, oh, crap. Look at the time. Heaven to Betsy's. It's not what I said. How are you, Miss Tricia, Mr. Steve? Long time no speak. Yes, I've actually been, since I've been bedridden, I have been researching and trending topics. So we need to chat. Yes, we do. I hope everyone has been well. This is the 569th motions hearing for Karen Rea. There's more motions here than at a gastro ward. So I have a shit ton of documents and motions and rulings and filings and stuff. So I have no idea what they're actually going to deal with today, but we'll find out together. All right. One way or t'other. And no doubt there's probably another 10 that I'm going to have to download. So in my infinite wisdom, I have a very funny pause on the CCs. Don't ask me how I achieved that, but I must go down here. No idea what they're talking about. Probably a good thing. And you are just gagging to be here, aren't you? Just look at the positive side, you know. Oh, I shouldn't say gagging and I must go down here in the same sentence. Oh dear, it's been a long day, hasn't it? Some. Oh, we got sound. Yes, but on the wrong thing. Oh, isn't it in my ears? Come back here. Sound. That's better.
Nope, has to be up.
I can hear you.
Till we get going, then you can put it on.
I know you are, darling. I know. I don't think I don't appreciate it. Well, we did all right catching up with the what is it? The Nutjob neighbour trial. Did that well. So we're up to date, day 5 today, so we can catch up there. We finished off the Molly Tibbetts. Just brilliant trial, brilliant. If you're still here, Steve, you really need to watch it if you haven't seen it. Why am I sitting here looking at the light? I actually was watching, just stopping there, I was watching the Glera today. He had the St. Patrick's Day fundraiser for Karen Rea's Defence. And he had, lots of different people on over the course of the day, obviously. And bring me down. And I was listening to them go. They went back through what's his name? Trooper Paul. Yeah, the supposed expert. Sorry. Listening to his testimony has cracked me up. So they were watching that, and then they jumped to a picture of the Albert's basement, and Mazza Media came up with the theory, and I'm like, hang on a second, that sounds familiar. So I went back through my archives, and I found what I was looking for. So I'm piecing bits and pieces together, and I'm piecing bits of Microdots videos just to show it all. Yeah, so it'll be good when it's done. Be good. But yeah, Mazza Media, I bet you by about 9 months, just quietly. It's funny now how he's coming up with the exact same theory that I had, and I've got the evidence. I can bring the receipts 9 months ago.
By defense counsel, and I conclude that a decision on the Commonwealth's motion to exclude employees of ARCA. So I think I told counsel before that I had reviewed. So first we had full hearing from counsel. I heard from the lawyers. I heard from Mr. Alessi on behalf of the lawyers. I've read the transcripts. I've listened to the sidebar conference and read that transcript. And I've certainly read the pleadings. So based on all the evidence, I conclude that there has not been the candor required of all lawyers has not been demonstrated here. I find that there have been repeated misrepresentations made to the court by defense counsel, and I conclude that they were deliberate concerning the relationship with the ARCA witnesses. They were made at sidebar, in open court, and in pleadings. And I think the record is pretty clear, and I find that on July 25th, 2024, payment was made to the ARCA witnesses.
Yeah, after the trial.
Yet on February 26, 2025, in a pleading written by Ms. Little, signed by all 3 defense counsel, says the Commonwealth's motion to exclude these exculpatory expert witnesses, ARCA witnesses,
She better not
who were
fucking
not
exclude
hired
them.
or paid for by the defense, is not made in good faith and is a desperate and transparent attempt to keep exculpatory testimony of neutral expert witnesses from reaching the jury in this case. The next page. Ironically, the Commonwealth accuses the defendant of failing to comply with her discovery obligations while conceding that the information is not in her care, custody, or control. Moreover, here, the defense has gone above and beyond its reciprocal discovery obligations and has already satisfied all of its mandatory discovery obligations under Rule 14 and turned over all additional information in the control and custody of the defense relating to the ARCA witnesses as ordered by the court. So I find or conclude that was a material misrepresentation and that it was deliberate.
Oh, yeah.
So I find that there is a flagrant violation of the
Yeah.
Rule 14 obligations. And before I decide which sanctions are appropriate, I need to see defense counsel and Ms. Reed at sidebar. I'm going to ask that the Commonwealth remain where they are. I'm going to seal this sidebar, but I need to have a colloquy with Ms. Reed before I figure out exactly what I'm going to do here. So
You motherfucker. You see, and that's another thing that just shits me, because I've just gone back through a heap of stuff back from the last trial, and there is so much stuff that the prosecution has gotten away with and has blatant, like, I mean, they're providing more videos already. Like, are you for real? They're providing more Sally Port videos. Now, at the end of the day, okay, so there's a bit of paper that says they weren't employed by the defense in February. Okay. What do you fucking do? Does that alter the evidence? Does it alter her guilt or innocence? No. Makes no fucking difference to her guilt or innocence. Whereas the shit that Brennan's pulling does. And that's what shits me. Because she will pull them up on something so, what I consider is trivial. Like, really. Who gives a shit? Who gives a shit who signed the check? It had nothing to do with their testimony. It had nothing to do with the report that they had created prior to the trial and completely unbiased. And it had nothing to do with their testimony because they only reported on what they had presented in their report. So this is just another fucking example of them not allowing her to have a fair trial. I'm sorry. They're not. They have attacked, I think, 14 out of her witnesses. He's attacked and tried to suppress them in some way, shape, or form so that they don't testify. He's then attacked their third-party culprit defense. In other words, she can't even have a defense. So he's trying to bind their hands, their feet, and he's gagged them as well. That's the only way he's going to be able to win, is by playing dirty, because he knows that she's innocent. And I wish I had a fucking chopstick right now.
all right. So there's no greater constitutional right than the defendant's right to a fair trial, including a fair and impartial jury.
Yeah.
The right to
Brennan.
present a defense and confront witnesses, and the right to counsel, which includes counsel of her choice. So
Oh,
I
you've
just had
negated
a
that.
thorough colloquy with Ms. Reed. I believe it was extensive and thorough. And she has expressed to me a strong desire to continue with her lawyers. Ms. Giannetti, is Mr. Jackson lead counsel? I just want to make the record clear. Mr. Jackson, are you lead counsel?
We don't define our roles in such a manner, Your Honor.
Okay, so because Mr. Yannetti is not pro hoc vice counsel, and Mr.
gonna
Yannetti can
take
try
Jack.
this case if need be by himself. All right. But Ms. Reed does have a strong desire to keep all of her lawyers, notwithstanding the Rule 14 violation and the apparent lack of candor, the findings and rulings I've made. So based on that, I am not going to revoke pro hoc vice licenses. I don't expect to have to address this again. Candor with the court is essential. It's the bedrock obligation of all lawyers who appear in this court and all courts in Massachusetts. A lawyer is only as good as his or her word, and I need to be able to take counsel at their word. So I'm not going to tolerate false statements, any stretching of the truth, no misleading distortions. There's no place for that in the courtroom.
There's no
And
place
Mr.
for fucking
Jackson,
you.
you stated this very eloquently in your closing argument last time. So, Commonwealth, I am denying your motion to exclude the ARCA witnesses. Those witnesses can testify as long as counsel complies with their reciprocal discovery obligations. I will allow a full cross-examination, Mr. Brennan, and I will review any proposed curative instructions, limiting instructions,
Piss
or
off.
final jury
Piss off.
instructions. So that's my ruling on that. So we'll move on to Mr.
Move
Lessie. You
on
didn't
to,
have a
yeah.
chance last time
Move on
on
to
the motion to
rolling
exclude
on
the
your head with a
testimony of
steamroller.
Dr. Wolf. So I'll hear you on that.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Oh, hang on. Ha! I found one that I've already. Oh, look at that. I have created one, I think. I haven't actually played it yet, so let me see. This might be all right.
If we don't put our foot down at some point with the government, we're in deep trouble in this country. I mean, it's that simple.
Yep.
It's that simple.
Yep.
They don't get to just make up the rules as they go.
No, they
In
don't.
order to get convictions.
True.
Talking about what he knows, what happened to the taillight. You weren't there, Hank Brennan. Shut the fuck up.
Yeah. Yeah. Just like that. Just what he said. I kind of like that's a good one. Yeah. It was the biggest fib, Your Honor. It was the biggest fib. And this one. I got for 225K is this lousy pencil. Yep. Yeah. Give you pro hocavice. Oh. Pro hocavice my ass. I'm sure I've got two in there. What's the other one I had in there? Oh, that's. Oh no, I've got three in there. Oh, what's this one?
If she killed John O'Keefe, first thing
Nice.
she's like, fuck. Oh, fuck.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to blame it on them. Okay, cool. Well, first thing I'm going to want to do when I get back there, when we find the body, right, is, or whoever finds the body, I'm going to be like, what the fuck? I saw him go in the house. That'd be like the first thing you said, like, how the fuck did he get out here? I saw him go in the house. And then immediately cast suspicion on the people inside the house. Immediately. And as luck would have it, John looks a lot more like a guy that got the shit kicked out of him than a guy who got run over by a car. What luck?
Yep. Absolutely. These are my these are my advertising to lead up to the trial. I've been busy and I've got a couple more still coming, but yeah, they're going to be long ones, longer. All right, I think I've calmed down enough now. Do you like this one? I like this one. You should have said Hank. I really need to get some more swear words in my videos. I deleted most of them. Oh dear. All right. Let's get our motions and emotions happening again. I have. And that's just, that's nothing. That's nothing. The ones that I'm putting together, I'm piecing, bits and pieces from here, there, and video with it, and audio, and because you forget, like, watching the thing today with Trooper Paul, he actually said that the crime scene spoke to him. Like, yeah. All right. I'm halfway through writing a song too. See what happens when you don't let me play on the internet?
May it please the
Yeah.
court.
I've got a great photo of the four of them,
The
actually.
proposed testimony
Yeah.
supported by the Commonwealth of Dr. Wolf should be stricken in its entirety. The subject matter of Dr. Wolf's purported testimony
We're still arguing this.
by his own report and the Commonwealth's own motion is that Dr. Wolf will testify, is proposed to testify as to the cause and the manner of death of the decedent. That is the subject matter of the testimony. And as the court is well aware, in order for Dr. Wolf to be able to make testimony with regard to that subject matter, he has to demonstrate, and the Commonwealth has the burden of proof by a preponderance of the evidence to demonstrate that he's
Boys there.
qualified, prong one, and two, that the methodology is reliable, and specifically either that the
see,
methodology is
but-
commonly accepted.
So he finds out details of someone and exposes them. Basically, they don't like being exposed. They get all cranky. Then they try and accuse him of witness intimidation. And because they can't get him on the witness intimidation, they've now, the prosecution have now put him on the witness list, which means that he can't be in court during the proceedings because he's a witness. And you watch, they won't even call him. This is the shady, underhanded shit that Brennan is doing. He's a sneaky little
accepted in the relevant medical community, or that the proposed testimony can satisfy the five
we can speed you
non-exhaustive
up, Mr.
factors
Leslie,
of
sorry.
Albert Lanigan.
You drive me mental.
The entire motion, papers, and supporting documentation fail to even
Maybe even
allege
1.5.
that the methodology is generally
That's better.
accepted in the scientific community. It's not alleged, let alone demonstrated. In terms of his qualifications, it is essentially Hornbook law that to testify about the manner of death, as opposed to causation.
Oh, that's the
cause
other
of death,
thing.
You need to be a
He tried to suppress the medical examiner's findings as to the manner of death because she, Irene Scortabello, put undetermined. He's trying to suppress that and not tell that to the jury because it doesn't say homicide.
medical examiner, a forensic pathologist, or both. Conceitedly, Dr. Wolf is not a forensic pathologist and he's not a medical examiner. So I'm going to just put aside for the moment the cause of death. I want to speak specific because he's got to be able to show both because he's opining about both. So there is no demonstration in the record that is before your honor as to how Dr. Wolf is qualified to talk about the manner of death. Dr. Wolf invokes a terminology called mechanism of injury. That's the closest he comes to talking about manner of death. And specifically in his report, which is Exhibit A to our motion, the entirety of his opinion is in that exhibit, NDA 02801. It is a mere 15 lines, one paragraph. And the applicable aspects of that paragraph is he says the following: based on the findings of his autopsy, his being the decedent, it is clear that the mechanism of injury was a fall backwards, resulting in not only the basilar or skull fracture, but also a subarachnoid hemorrhage and contusions consistent with a coup contra coup mechanism.
Yeah, contra coup. See, I'm right. I'm right. said that way back in May last year. It's a contra coup. And I've got the evidence.
Mechanism of injury is not at all probative or even relative to cause of death.
Contra coup means that the main impact is on one side, and the impact is so great. So basically, he's been hit in the back of the head. The impact has been so great that it has jolted the brain, and the brain has smashed into the front side of the skull on the inside, and that's where all the bruising has occurred at the front. That's why you see the puffiness on his eyelids, because that's all the subarachnoid hemorrhage and all the skull fractures are bleeding into that space, the subarachnoid space, and it's pushing that out like that. And that's different to when you get punched in the face. You get a black eye under here, yeah, and then it goes yellow and it bruises all the way down. No, his were different. And the impact at the back was that great that, yeah, it sent the shockwaves through, and the brain sort of bounced off the front of the skull, if that makes sense. I'm so clever.
We're not talking about an injury here. We're talking about the manner of death. And mechanism of injury doesn't satisfy it. But the point first, Your Honor, is he's not qualified because he is a neurologist. His CV makes it very clear he's a neurologist, and his focus of his practice, by his own words, is based upon the precise invocation of radiation to treat incurable cancer. That's what his specialty is. That's what he currently does.
Oh, look, helps if you turn the volume up.
In terms of qualifications to talk about manner of death, he doesn't state the manner word, but he uses mechanism. He doesn't state mechanism of death. He states mechanism of injury, and mechanism of injury is irrelevant. So on qualification prong, Your Honor, it is completely lacking in the record that he is qualified. It's not enough to say you're a neurologist and head of neurology at a certain center. And this is juxtaposed next to the fact that the Commonwealth, the autopsy, which is very clear that those that are qualified, Dr. Stonebridge and Dr. Scordi-Bello. Dr. Stonebridge didn't even venture into the manner of death at all, didn't comment on it. Dr. Scordi-Bello, who is a medical examiner and who is board certified in pathology, she concluded that the manner of death was undetermined. So here you have the juxtaposition of a medical examiner qualified to render opinions in those areas, saying the cause of death is undetermined, and you have an unqualified neurologist not speaking to manner, but speaking to mechanism of injury. So in terms of the paragraph that I was just citing in his findings, it says, based on the findings of his autopsy, it is clear that the mechanism of injury was a fall backwards, resulting not only, et cetera, et cetera. And then he goes on to say the head injury was clearly inconsistent with any type of mechanism of injury, such as a bat, hammer, or a car hitting him directly. Then what he goes on to further to go beyond his qualifications, he says the frozen ground was enough that when Mr. O'Keefe fell backwards, his injuries were sustained.
Nope.
Where is the support that Mr. O'Keefe fell backwards? A neurologist can't determine that is a manner of death. He provides zero bases, zero, for his conclusion that Mr. O'Keefe fell backwards.
You're wasting your breath, Alessi. She's going to let it in.
It's also not in the autopsy.
She's a see you next
And
Tuesday.
with regard to his qualifications to determine whether the ground was frozen, I covered that with regard to Mr. Gilman. You need to be a pedologist. You need to know something about soil. He doesn't even begin to state how he concluded the ground was frozen. He wasn't there on the date of the incident. So there's no basis for that, but that is part of his opinion and methodology. And now to leaving his lack of qualifications, where is the citation to any study, any acceptance of how Dr. Wolf has come to his conclusion? There's nothing there. And this, Your Honor, is become a pattern of the Commonwealth where they put forth witnesses and they don't tether the methodology, if you can discern it, to common acceptance or the Dahlberg-Lanigan factors. So in terms of both prongs, Dr. Wolf fails because the Commonwealth has not even begun to meet its burden. I would like to also reference what we just received last night, which is an article that was co-authored by Dr. Wolf. And I want to note and this is fractures of the classification and clinical features. This is 35 years old, and it is notable both for what it doesn't say and what it does say. First, what this article doesn't do is it doesn't talk about how one determines what a mechanism of injury is. So I'm even going to assume for the moment the parlance of Dr. Wolf mechanism of injury. And if Your Honor would look at, please, page 593 of the study. And it's basically a meta study. They went back and looked at a lot of data and information, but it says under results, second paragraph, the mechanisms of injury were similar for all three fracture types. Motor vehicle and motorcycle accidents were the most common mechanisms, accounting for 47%. And then it goes on and it says 3 patients were victims of falls. But what this article stands for is that those were all known mechanisms of injury. It was determined before the study even occurred what the mechanism was. This study is not how does one determine when it's unknown what the mechanism of injury is with regard to a decedent. And that feeds back into the lack of qualifications of Dr. Wolf, because we are not given one example of where Dr. Wolf, before his report, his 1-paragraph report on conclusions, of when he's ever done this before. It's not stated that he's ever taken a decedent and determined the manner of death. And I note that this study talks about mechanisms of injury, which scientifically is completely different from manner of death. And what it appears the Commonwealth is trying to do is to back into manner of death through the parlance of mechanism of injury. And that is not at all probative of manner of death. And lastly, this study only stands for the proposition of mechanism of injury. What they looked at is once the injury occurred, what were the mechanisms that were occurring through the brain? What happened inside of the brain that led to the various injuries? So this study doesn't at all, one, support any methodology. Number one, it doesn't stand at all that this is the methodology for how one determines in a decedent what was the cause, because the cause of the injury was already determined going into the study. And it also doesn't state anything about the paragraph that Dr. Wolf has explicated in his report. And I will conclude with 2 points. Dr. Wolf says, based on the findings of his autopsy, it is clear. Well, the autopsy doesn't come to any conclusion on manner of death. The autopsy doesn't speak to mechanism of injury. So it is a non sequitur, Your Honor, to say that based on the findings of his autopsy. And we know from Delbert Lanigan, you've got to apply your methodology to the facts and evidence in the case. And the only facts and evidence that Dr. Wolf uses, by his own words, is the autopsy, which doesn't support at all what he is stating in his report. The second and last point, Your Honor, is that it is not sufficient in the case law in Massachusetts. It's not sufficient under 702 for someone simply to come in and say, I'm a neurologist, I therefore know the brain, and then take the leap from that foundation into a conclusion with regard to manner of death. So in sum, Your Honor, he's not a medical examiner, he's not a forensic pathologist, he has not stated any experience whatsoever in doing what he's doing here, meaning to determine the manner of death of a decedent. And his methodology is completely unsupported. We only have one article. And I've gone through why that article is insufficient.
That's
so
my fault.
we would request, Your Honor, and urge the court to exclude Dr. Wolf from testifying in matters beyond his kin. And in the alternative, we would request an evidentiary hearing.
He's rubbing up against everything and knocking it over.
The defendant has a constitutional right to cross-examination. And this is the same with Mr. Gilman. It's the same with other experts where there is no statement of the methodology, as here, there's none. And there's no tethering to a study. And how is it that one can cross-examine a witness that doesn't even begin to approach the 2 prongs of
A little shit did the other day. I must have been, it was last week, but it must have been online too long, and he was nagging me to come to bed. So he gets up here and he does this, and he walks backwards and forwards. He rubs the microphone, he rubs my fan, he knocks my phone over off the stand, his stand on the keyboard. And then he'll think, all right, she's coming now, and I didn't come. So he stood at the end of the bench, and at the end of the bench, I've got a little kitty cat. This is to keep them. That's all right. To keep them occupied. They got their treats, right? Ooh. He picked one up at a time and threw it. Threw it onto the floor. Picked the next one up. Threw it. Little fucker. And yeah. Hey. Yeah.
the Daubert inquiry.
Hey,
All right. Thank you. Mr. Brennan.
stop it. You're going to knock everything over. Stop it. Come here.
May I?
Please.
Attorney Lessie mistakenly misstates Dr. Wolf's credentials. Dr. Wolf is not
Yeah,
a neurologist. He's a neurosurgeon. He's not simply a neurosurgeon. And it's not that he's a renowned neurosurgeon, but he has over 35 years of experience as a neurosurgeon.
Oh,
In addition to his opinion, you can see that
he knows about nerves then,
Dr.
doesn't he?
Wolf has an extraordinary history of experience as a neurosurgeon. His CV is attached.
His
In
voice.
his internships as a neurosurgeon, he engages in
How many times is he going to say neurosurgeon?
pathology, neuropathology. We can see from his major research interests includes treatment of head injury, spinal cord injury.
Mm-hmm.
Dr. Wolf was the leader and director of the Miami Neuroscience Center for 17 years, from 1993 to 2011.
Doesn't determine manner.
The busiest neuroscience center in the country. He has treated tens and thousands of patients with head injuries, surgeries. His professional memberships are too long to list. Page 3 of his resume.
Ooh,
His research
he's a member
is
of the
broad
golf
and
club then, is
precise
he?
and specific to head injuries.
Is he?
We can see in his research listed on page 4, he's principal investigator in THAM treatment of brain tissue, acidosis in severely injured patients, principal investigator, PEG, SOD, and severe head injury.
You say that
Improving
quickly
outcomes in
because it
severe head
sounds
injury,
good.
PEG,
it's
SOD,
not.
also principal investigator, IRB protocol, brain pathology.
Ooh.
He is well published. His book chapters that he listed anyways, list 16. Many of them
16
dealing
chapters.
specifically with head injury and brain injury. Book chapters include head injury and difficult medical management, pediatric neurosurgical emergencies, complication of head injuries in adults,
We study that in
imaging
nursing.
of craniocerebral trauma, imaging and trauma and critical care, emergency room assessment of head injury patients,
Ooh.
intracranial injuries.
Mm-hmm.
He has numerous journal articles, a slew of them specific to head injuries, intracranial pressure, number 2 on the journal articles, initial management of brain and spinal cord injuries, number 9, number 16, which
Maybe you
is
could come treat
the,
me.
document that I
That'd be good.
produced to counsel last night, listed in his journal articles, number 16. Fractures of the clivus, classifications and clinical features.
Oh,
His journal articles are numerous, too numerous to go through, but you can see that he is well published.
Broken
Over 70
collarbones.
articles,
you can deal with them too.
specifically on fractures, basal type injuries, number 5 on page 13.
Mhm.
Number 9, neurosurgical management of traumatic brain injury. Number 10, acute head injury. And the list goes on. Over 90 references.
Oh,
Lectures and meetings, many of them dealing with head injuries. Over 100 lectures listed for reference, actually over 130, and a number of web publications. So this neurosurgeon who has this extraordinary experience.
he's such a nerd. He's such a nerd. A wanker nerd.
The
Does that make you
ability
a
to testify about head injuries
nanker?
and medical diagnosis and cause of death is not limited to a pathologist. In fact, I would suggest that the experience of Dr. Wolf is far superior to any pathologist. The difference is a pathologist treats patients that are already dead. Dr. Wolf treats patients that are in trauma, who some survive and many die. So he is intimately familiar, not just with looking at a deceased
I
in a
bet
lab,
he
he's
even
intimately
convinces
familiar
himself
with assessing
when he sits on his
the
hand and
injuries
it's numb
after they occur,
that it's someone else
diagnosing
doing it.
what the injury is, and an attempt to save the person's life. And so he's well attuned after tens of thousands of surgeries to understand the causation of a brain injury and what causes death.
I'm a chipmunk and I talk
Looking at
this.
Dr. Wolf's report, although short, it is clear that the injury that was occurred by Mr. O'Keefe was an injury known as countercoup.
Yes, it
And I
was.
dare say the defense proposed expert, Dr. Laposada, is not in disagreement with that. To understand countercoup, it occurs from a fall backwards on the ground. It can't
Not
occur
necessarily.
from a bat or a punch or hit. There's not enough force. It occurs
Bullshit.
when the back of the head hits the ground and then the brain shifts to the front of the head. That is what the autopsy reports show. It may be that the medical examiner for the Commonwealth didn't have the same level of experience and didn't diagnose it, but this expert does have that expertise, and it is no different than the pathologist that's proffered by the defense.
Are you telling me that you can only get enough force to the back of your head from falling than you can taking a baseball bat to the back of your head? Really? Or getting hit by, oh, hang on, maybe a car. Really? Isn't that the whole plan?
directly related to the basal fracture, the swelling around the eyes, no different than Dr. Laposada's opinion, exactly the same. One thing he doesn't say is that the body was moved. There was no evidence or information for that. He doesn't extend himself as a detective.
No, but if you actually look at the ground, I actually have the photos of the snow, and with such an extensive head injury and the consumption of alcohol, there would be a large pool of blood because it was determined, Mr. Breenan, Special Preceptor Breenan, that there was over 50% of Mr. O'Keefe's blood was lost during the time between when he got out of the car and when he was at the morgue. Where did that go? Ask your neurologist.
His proposed testimony. He is intimately
Pokemon.
familiar with countercoup, having treated tens of thousands of patients, and he understands in countercoup how it can lead to suffocation at the top of the spinal cord. And so his opinion is clearly supported by his extraordinary experience.
Suffocated at the top of the spinal cord. So basically, what he's saying is that the brain has been damaged so much. There's so many hemorrhages within the brain, and obviously the skull is it's fixed. It doesn't swell any further. So the only places that it can come out forwards is the occipital bone, like where your eyes are, and then down through the base of the neck, or as we call it, suffocating the basal region. Yeah, suffocated by Pokemon. Yep.
His writings, his history. It can't be that his ultimate conclusions of countercoup and
Contra coup, not
periorbital
contra coup.
ecchymosis isn't disputed. It seems that
Oh, you nearly got that right too. Periorbital ecchymosis. Thank you.
so it may be that the medical examiner for the Commonwealth didn't have the same level of experience and didn't diagnose it, but this expert does have that expertise, and it is no different than the pathologist that's proffered by the defense. The periorbital ecchymosis that is directly related to the basal fracture, the swelling around the eyes, no different than Dr. Lopasada's opinion, exactly the same. One thing he doesn't say is that the body was moved. There was no evidence or information for that. He doesn't extend himself as a detective or put in unplausible theories in his proposed testimony. He is intimately familiar with countercoup, having treated tens of thousands of patients, and he understands in countercoup how it can lead to suffocation at the top of the spinal cord. And so his opinion is clearly supported by his extraordinary experience.
Extraordinary.
His writings.
Extraordinary.
His history. It can't be
It's impressive.
The conclusions of countercoup and ecchymosis.
Ultimate.
Ecchymosis isn't disputed. It seems that the defense simply prefers the original medical examiner for the Commonwealth. But we expect to call Dr. Wolf, and I would suggest that he's more than qualified.
All right, thank you. Mr. Ellis, anything final?
Yes, thank you, Your Honor.
You're wasting your time, Alessi.
Your Honor, I'm going to note what Attorney Brennan did not state. He did not address at all how the methodology, to the extent it's discernible of Dr. Wolf, is commonly accepted or it satisfies any of the Daubert factors. And that is the fatal aspect of Dr. Wolf's opinion. It's not stated. You have to have either common acceptance or satisfaction of the 5 non-exhaustive Daubert factors. It wasn't addressed, and I think it's reasonable to conclude that it wasn't addressed because it doesn't exist.
Yeah.
That alone dooms Dr. Wolf's opinions. I will stipulate, for purposes of this argument only, the cause of death prong. Let's assume, just for purposes, just to focus on manner of death, let's assume hypothetically that Dr. Wolf is qualified to testify about cause of death. Mr. Brennan did not address at all his qualifications to discuss and opine on manner of death. And that is the distinction I emphasize, Your Honor. Manner of death, he has not stated one qualification on manner of death. So the defense urges the court to draw the distinction, to limit his testimony to cause of death, not manner.
They're learning. He knows damn well she's going to let him talk. So now he's compromising and saying, okay, well, now we need to just limit the scope of his testimony. Yeah, she's a hooah.
Of death, because we know, and we cited the Graham article, which is attached to our motion, which specifies who is qualified to talk about manner of death. Because what does manner of death do? It takes into account all the circumstances surrounding it, the crime investigation. That's what medical examiners and forensic pathologists are qualified to do. Attorney Brennan cited that in his CV, there's a reference to an internship in pathology. I looked, I didn't see it, but let's assume that it exists. Let's assume he has an internship in pathology.
Whoop-de-doo.
That does not qualify him to engage in manner of death 40 years later without any experience from that internship all the way until 2025. Lastly, Attorney Brennan goes through numerous studies, and I appreciate that he did, because the CV is almost endless with meetings, presentations. There's 4 peer-reviewed articles. That's it. 4 peer-reviewed of Dr. Wolf. None of them address or come close to the topic that he's talking about. My last point is this with regard to Dr. Wolf's qualifications and what his practice has been. And Attorney Brennan concedes it by his own words. He said cause of injury. And again, for purposes of this argument only,
Yeah, he
I will
chooses his
concede
words.
Cause of injury.
Not
But
cause
manner
of death.
was
Yeah.
not addressed by Attorney Brennan. It's not addressed in any of the qualifications
He's
of Dr.
sneaky.
Wolf, and it's not addressed in terms of the one paragraph that we have. And for something as significant as this, one paragraph that doesn't address common acceptance, methodology, Dalbert factors,
Do you really think that he did not know the date of that email? Really? Mhm. Really? I think not.
Your Honor, I don't know how a record is even begun to be established for him to be qualified or to opine on manner of death. So we would urge Your Honor to find that he is not qualified to testify about manner of death, that mechanism of injury cannot be manner of death, and that he be so limited to the extent the court desires and concludes that he has some relevance here. But in terms of all of the record that's presented, including the CV, et cetera, there's not one instance where we see that Dr. Wolf has even approached determining cause of death or manner of death at all. So I don't see where there's a record to find him being able to do that for the first time in charges of this nature. Thank you.
Do you want to respond at all, Mr. Brennan?
At some point, arguments become semantical
Oh,
and theoretical, but not practical. This doctor has treated thousands and thousands of patients, many, unfortunately, which have died. And as a neurosurgeon, engaging in the operations in the study of the brain in the patients, it is obvious that the neurosurgeon would understand and appreciate why his patients are dying, because that is part of the study of trying to save them. So for him to reduce on a piece of paper that the manner of death is based on my thousands and thousands of patients in my years and decades of experience, seeing firsthand many of these patients I cared for or tried to help died, and this is why.
he's not very good,
then,
then, is he?
That satisfied Mr. Alisi, but that is so unnecessary because it's obvious. Thank you.
It's not obvious.
Thank you. All right,
You're
so we have a
turtle.
series of motions in limine. I'm going to start with defendant's motion to present the demonstrative exhibit on Christina Hanley's testimony. It's paper 558. Is there an objection from the Commonwealth on this?
There is an objection.
All right, so I'll hear the
Yes, there
defense
is.
on this motion.
Thank you, Your Honor, if I may.
I'm going
This
to
is
try and
relatively
find
straightforward
them and
relatively
read
short.
them along.
I have a question. Did you use this last time? It
We
looks
attempted-
like,
We attempted to use it. We had it last time. It was shown to the witness, but it was not allowed to be introduced. And all we're asking is for that next step that it be introduced into evidence.
did she adopt it? Was there, okay.
She did indicate, and that's part of my argument, Your Honor, which
So go ahead, I'll hear you.
I'll truncate it. It's a relatively simple request. We just want to use the chalk that was prepared in the first trial. No dissimilarity there. It was disallowed for use by the defense to be actually used, to be admitted, but it was shown to the witness. It was not shown to the
Holy
jurors.
crap.
The evidence, as the court will
So
recall,
let me just have, so you're just trying to use it as a chalk, not an exhibit?
no, we would ask that it be used as a chalk and an exhibit that's introduced. I'll take the chalk if the court wants to break it into two different pillars, but we believe that once the witness, and I anticipate based on her prior testimony that she would adopt it one more time for its authenticity or its actual
93 documents. 93. I can't even remember what the name of motion in limine was.
accuracy, I should say, that it be used as an actual exhibit that goes back to the jury just for their help. The court will remember it's very
So
complicated.
let me just, with that, if I allow it as a chalk, is there an objection from the Commonwealth?
It would be a partial objection to a chalk, some of the labeling. I have less concern with a chalk as I do an exhibit.
And so we can take it in two steps. I certainly don't need to decide now whether it's admissible, and I couldn't, but what's the nature? Is this something?
The court will call this deals
Oh, I
with
found it.
glass. Christina Hanley spoke at length about her analysis of pieces of glass, other materials as well, but specifically as it relates to the glass. There were more than a dozen pieces of glass that she testified to. They were variously found in different places, at different times by different people, and they're assigned a relatively complicated set of numbers that she utilized in her analysis.
And this is what you explained to me was the 47 pieces of glass that I asked you about last time,
No,
right?
this is more attended to the glass in the bumper.
Okay.
The glass in the bumper, the glass that was found at 34 Fairview, as opposed to the lens material.
The
that was
magic
0.7.
piece of
Okay.
glass that
These were a
managed
bunch
to
of pieces of
last.
glass that were originally that originated
Real
from multiple
blizzard.
sources. Some matched each other, some did not match anything else. Some were from the same source, some were from multiple sources and different and distinct between and among each other. We reduced the very complex. The court may remember she talked about 7.14-B matched or didn't match 7.13-C, and it was very numerical and very difficult. It was difficult for me to follow. It was even difficult for the witness to follow because she continually had to resort to her own
I have to
report
slow
as
that
she
down,
tried to maintain
sorry.
her accuracy. So
Do you have the date of her testimony?
Oh gosh,
Ms. Little, do you have that transcript pulled up?
Yes, one moment.
So obviously, I remember her testifying. I remember seeing this previously.
June 5th, 2024. Your Honor.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Little. The court will recall.
That's right.
I think
I've
it's
got it here.
clocking with the court's memory that we did use the demonstrative aid. We walked up to Ms. Handley. We showed it to her on the witness stand, and she did adopt it. And she indicated
Sorry.
that once she studied it, it was in line exactly with her
Sorry,
testimony.
Miss
It's an
Jackson.
accurate visual representation of that evidence, and it just makes it a lot easier for the jurors to find some sort of linear logic
Better?
to the evidence. What matched what and what didn't. And all we're asking is that we'll use the same aid, the exact same aid that we did last time, and just ask that it be used as not only a chalk.
Yeah.
As Mr. Brennan said, he may have a slight objection to that, but also we would ask for the next step, which the court doesn't have to decide now. I think waiting on Ms. Handley's testimony would be apropos, and then we'll ask for its submission at the right time.
All right. What's the objection, Mr. Brennan?
Yeah. Yeah.
This witness has a report, and a report is not admissible and can't be shown to the jury. And so to have the defense summarize her testimony when she's not allowed to put her report in herself seems a bit imbalanced. There are references on this potential chalk that lists troopers' names. Those names shouldn't be on there, but also it doesn't give the full picture of the actual testimony. The issue regarding glass, I expect, is going to be a issue in the next case. And I say that because we learned last night for the first time on a public hearing of an episode that the
Oh.
defendant
Oh, wait for it. Wait for it. Wait for it. Karen Rea's documentary, the first episode, aired last night, which I haven't seen yet, but he's already alluding to it.
Mr. O'Keefe took her vodka soda glass out of her car. Now, that is the first time we've had any statements from Ms. Reed suggesting that. And also, there was another statement regarding a claim that Ms. Reed pulled glass from John O'Keefe's face. Never heard that before. So we have this evolving or new testimony or statement, rather.
Like
statement
Sally Port video.
about glass. And so I think first, I'd like to consider this new information that we just learned last night. And secondly, I am reluctant to agree to a simple summary of part of the witness's
Watch
testimony
Turtle Boy's
that has
face.
not only labels on it, but does not, from my perspective, clarify anything. I'm not opposed to chalks. I think chalks are helpful for both sides. And I think the liberal use of chalks is helpful. But I don't
Bullshit.
have confidence this chalk
Bullshit.
accurately summarizes the witness's testimony. I'm open to discussing chalks with the defense and perhaps learning
Bullshit.
why they think this is helpful or important, but looking at the chalk, it does not look clear to me. And I do think that the evolving nature of glass in this case is going to be an issue. And since I've just learned this information, I want to give it some thought.
All right. So, Mr. Jackson, what I'm going to do is just hold off and see where the evidence is, what the two of you talk about. Maybe there's some agreement you can come up with regarding this. It's just, I need to hear more of the evidence
I
again.
understand,
And I'm going to read the transcript, so that will help me with
I think
this.
it makes sense. Mr. Brennan indicates that the chalk was not helpful to him. With all due respect to Mr. Brennan, it's not really his understanding of the chalk
Yeah.
that is going to sort of seize the day. It's Ms. Handley. So I do think that if the court would keep an open mind,
Sure.
if Ms. Handley testifies, then that would be the appropriate time.
So I'll take no action on this, and maybe it's something we can address the day before she testifies or something as it gets closer.
Sure.
But the two of you should talk.
Sure.
I'm open to working with them if there's something.
Yeah,
All right,
bullshit. You're
great,
so
thank you.
full of it.
All right. So no action taken on paper
That's
558.
such a brown nose.
So one question, the next motion I have is defendant's motion to exclude irrelevant, inadmissible, and prejudicial prior bad character and propensity evidence.
Oh, I've got that one too.
The Commonwealth
559.
has sort of maybe a similar one that I'm not sure. The Commonwealth's motion eliminate to admit the victim's out-of-court statement relating to his state of mind. So the Commonwealth's Binns and Qualls motion, does that address the the Aruba witness.
Oh. So this one, Miss Reed is accused of the following crimes of right. Is this so this Commonwealth. This is the Commonwealth motion. Miss Reed is accused of the following crimes arising out of the death of Officer John O'Keefe: murder in the second degree, count 1, manslaughter while under the influence of alcohol in violation of MGL, count 2, and leaving the scene of personal injury and death in violation, count 3. Defence suspects that the Commonwealth will again seek to admit testimony regarding a completely irrelevant verbal argument between Miss Reed and a woman named Marietta Sullivan, which occurred in Aruba on December 31st, for the sole purposes of trying to assassinate Miss Reed's character in the eyes of the jury. Oh no, so it's a defence motion. Yes, it is, sorry. Defendant's motion eliminated to exclude irrelevant, inadmissible. So they want to stop their Sullivan sisters' testimony from coming in. This is the defence. Okay, I'm with it now.
I'm just wondering if they're hand in hand. So the paper number on the Commonwealth is 585. It's got your 11 on it, though.
It's 559, Judge.
So the defendant's motion eliminated to exclude irrelevant, inadmissible, and prejudicial prior bad character and propensity evidence. It deals with the, let's just say, the Aruba witnesses. I don't, Marietta Sullivan, Laura Sullivan.
Yeah.
Does this, Ms. Giannetti, I think this was one filed by you, maybe it wasn't. Does this include the children as well?
This does not. This is
Okay.
limited. This argument will be limited to the, we'll call it the Aruba incident.
Okay. All right. So given that, that might not include the Commonwealth's number 11, the quals, bins, the defendant's statement, the victim's state of mind as it goes to the defendant's knowledge and ability. Like
He wants
to
to
act
call
on
the
that
kids
state of
again.
mind.
The defendant,
So I just want,
I didn't mean to interrupt, Mr. Brennan. Do you want to?
I just want to know if that is part of the Aruba one.
so our statements relating to Mr. O'Keefe's state of mind is broad. It would have included the Aruba, but I can make quick work of this. We
Okay.
do not intend to introduce evidence about the Aruba event.
Okay.
I reserve the right, if the defense opens the door, then we may proceed with it. But in our case in chief, we don't intend to introduce any evidence from the Aruba event.
Okay.
Shortest
There we go.
argument ever.
All right. All right. So Mr. Brennan, you can have a seat again and we'll go through the defendant's ones. That's very helpful. So I will endorse it. As
Oh, brown
Commonwealth
nose.
does not intend to introduce in its case in chief.
What's this Commonwealth motion to unseal FTR audio?
If that changes, Mr. Brennan, you need to come to sidebar well in advance, okay? After telling counsel.
Understood. Thank
All
you.
right. All right, so that was 559. The defendant's motion eliminated for review. Is the Commonwealth seeking a view as well?
We did not move for review, but we do not object if the defense wants a view.
Okay. So who's going to argue this for the defendant?
I am, Your Honor.
Okay, so what's different this time around is you're asking that Ms. Reed be permitted to attend.
Yes, Your Honor.
So I'll hear you.
Your Honor, the defense is requesting that it exercise its broad discretionary powers to allow a view under Massachusetts General Law 234A.
So I'll allow a view,
Okay.
okay, but let's talk about your client attending it.
Yes, Your Honor. There was a request in there for Ms. Reed to attend. That is something that's allowed under the law.
Mhm.
If,
How do you propose that's done?
if it's possible to have separate arrangements for her to be there, vis-a-vis some other transportation so that they're not all on the same bus. If the court can make that accommodation, we would appreciate it. But the most important thing in this case, Your Honor, is that there be a view of both the vehicle and 34 Fairview Road.
All right, so
Okay.
the Commonwealth's not objecting to a view of the vehicle and 34 Fairview, correct?
I'm not, but I do not think the vehicle should be at 34 Fairview.
Okay, what are you proposing for that?
We could make arrangements and make suggestions, but it's not going to replicate the circumstances of that evening. And so the creates an image that is inaccurate. So I do not think that the vehicle should be sitting in front of that home in totally different lighting conditions, timing conditions, and I think it can be misleading.
All right, I need some suggestions. Why don't we table this for a bit, even if we do this one tomorrow? So one of the concerns I have about just logistically, people have to stay away. When Ms. Reed's in court, there are a lot of people who come to court. So I need some assurances that there will be people kept at quite a distance. A separate car is fine. Would counsel plan on being in the car with her?
That would be fine, Your Honor.
So I need some proposal. So I need more information from both. So Mr. Brennan, I'd like you to come up with the proposal about viewing the car a separate place or a separate time. It would be ideal if we could do it at the same time, but at a separate place. If that's what we decide, we may have to do it all at once.
I
So-
do think it's important, Your Honor, that the vehicle be at the scene just for
Yeah.
dimension purposes so that the jury can get a sense of
Yes.
what it would have looked like at the scene. And I think just for convenience purposes, it saves a lot of coordination on the court's part and in terms of juror time by having it all happen in one fell swoop.
Okay. All right. So let's try and figure out some of the particulars. I would like to have Ms. Reed be able to attend. So let's figure out some particulars. All right. So defendant's motion eliminate to exclude certain witnesses before and after testimony. That's 462. And I think we can address the Commonwealth's motion for sequestration that moves to exempt family members at the same time. So who's arguing? 562. Did I say 4? Sorry. 562 and 576. So this little.
Thank you, Your Honor. I'm handling the motion to exclude certain witnesses. The court has broad discretionary power to sequester witnesses before, after, and during their testimony under Massachusetts Rule of Criminal Procedure 21. The defense respectfully requests that this court issue an order for sequestration in keeping with what the Commonwealth also requested. But additionally, excluding Brian Higgins and members of the Albert and McCabe families after they testify.
So do you mean after
Yes.
the evidence is closed?
Yes.
I mean, after they've taken the stand.
So after they've taken the stand, but so witnesses are sequestered not to influence any testimony. So once the evidence is closed, just before closing arguments, are you saying they should not be permitted to come into the court for
Yes.
closing arguments?
Yes.
Yes.
Focus on that part of your motion.
Yes, Your Honor.
Because
Perhaps
they
may
were
not be able to
intimidating
perform
the
closing
jury.
arguments, and this is why. As the court likely recalls, at the first trial,
Ooh.
members of the Albert and McCabe families continued to attend
Hello.
court after their testimony. During closing arguments, Colin Albert, Ryan Albert, and Jennifer McCabe were all seated in the jury box with the O'Keefe family. At least one
Rubbish.
juror who was seated in this case
Rubbish.
indicated to a reporter at Vanity Fair that she felt intimidated by their presence at closing arguments. Your Honor, a sitting juror reporting feeling intimidated by the presence of third-party culprits towards the close of the
Stop
case is highly concerning.
Was this a deliberating juror?
I don't know. She was, or he or she was anonymous.
Okay.
And Your Honor, that was by design. There is information that the Massachusetts State Police and the District Attorney's Office wanted to have the third-party culprits seated there during closing arguments. And so on that basis, the defense is requesting, in order to protect there from being any sort of undue influence or intimidation, or even just the potential that a juror might feel that way, as we know at least one did in this case, we're asking that they be sequestered after their testimony and during closing arguments.
What's your position on the Commonwealth's motion to exclude the family members of both the defendant and the victim?
I believe that the sequestration order, yes, we join in that request.
Okay.
The only exception I would note is that experts should be able to obviously watch other expert testimony that deals with their.
All right. So obviously is not something that should be in a motion. Okay. If you've got an agreement that each other's experts can be in the courtroom during the testimony, that's one thing, but it's not obvious that they're permitted. Okay.
I just wanted to make sure that that would be excluded from the order that the Commonwealth proposed. Because the way that they wrote it, it says all witnesses. And I'm guessing that, and I won't speak for Mr. Brennan, but I'm guessing that they will want their experts to watch our experts and vice versa.
All right. So you all need to talk. All right. And if there's a disagreement, you need to put it in writing. Generally, experts are permitted, but it's not a given. Okay. All right. Mr. Brennan, do you want to weigh in on people being able to? I'm concerned about after the evidence is closed.
I think it's unfortunate that not only a time-honored tradition, but an entitlement for a witness after the evidence is closed to come into the closing and watch the closing. The defense tries to take an opportunity to provide an unsolicited bashing on their targets. They name Higgins, Albert, they
Yeah.
invoke those names, they characterize third-party culprit, and they suggest that some anonymous person was uncomfortable. It seems as though the presentation has a deliberate point to promote a cause, but it doesn't have any sense of balance or fairness whatsoever. Witnesses, all witnesses from
It doesn't
either side
attack
should be
them.
able to come into a
Stop
courtroom
it.
after the evidence is closed, the sequestration order has ended, and watch a closing. Grace can be offered in these circumstances sometimes, and that's what I've tried to do in my motion. Ms. Reed has 3 potential family members who are potential witnesses for the government. And certainly I would have a right to try to ask the court or insist that they should be sequestered. But I've specifically asked that they not be sequestered.
They're not
I
intimidating.
think that an accused has a strong need to have family support in the courtroom. It's not in the benefit of the government or the Commonwealth, but it's fair. It's just, it's graceful. And I think that Ms. Reed's family should sit through the court testimony.
Don't make me
even if
time
they're
you
called
out.
witnesses, as should
No, let's not.
Mr. O'Keefe's immediate family. The idea that witnesses should not come in after a evidence rest and during a closing,
Just
not only does it
just
seem quite unfair,
fuck
it doesn't
off,
seem to have
Brennan.
any
Fuck
basis
off.
in law and justness.
Special Prosector Brennan.
And so I actually deny the
Fuck
idea
off.
that the targets of the defense should not be able to attend the closing.
There, I've said
I do
it.
ask you to endorse my motion that would allow family members to have the benefit to sit through the court proceedings, even if they may or even if they do become witnesses.
Okay.
Oh, that one I didn't
Your
do.
Honor,
What
if I
about
could
that?
address one issue.
Sure.
There is some additional information. I was hoping we might be able to address sidebar because it is subject to a protective order, but I would like to make a record.
Let me see if I can find that motion. I downloaded 93 of the bastards. Now that one was what to? I forgot what she said. Motion eliminated to preclude the defendant from raising a third-party culprit defence. Oh, I've got them in twice, have I? I've submitted them twice. Motion in M&A to prohibit reference to any pending internal affairs investigations. Motion in M&A to preclude reference to any alleged bad character and any prior misconduct of the victim or any witness. Commonwealth motion in M&A to admit results of defendant's blood draw and retrograde extrapolation. Motion in limine to admit the victim's out-of-court statements relating to his state of mind. Commonwealth's motion in limine to allow expert celebrate demonstration. Commonwealth's motion in limine requesting use of chalks and directing both parties to provide visual presentations and chalks prior to using. Oh my lord.
So I'll take a closer look at both of these and have something later.
My brain hurts.
All right. So, Ms. Dianetti, I think this next one might have been yours. I could be wrong again. Maybe it's just that you filed some. It's paper 565, defendant's motion eliminate to prohibit testimony regarding funds paid to experts for purposes of
Oh,
voir
I
dire.
got that one. All
I'll
right.
toss them on, Your Honor.
Okay.
I believe the Commonwealth has indicated that they will agree to that.
Okay.
Oh, cool. 565.
All right.
Done.
So, paper 565, allowed by agreement.
Woo.
So, 566, defendant's motion for panel voir dire. Who's arguing that?
Attorney conducted panel voir dire. Now comes the defendant, Karen Rea, and respectfully moves.
Okay. So, all I need you to
Honorable
really
Court.
focus on, of course, I'll give attorney conducted voir dire, but why don't you focus on panel voir dire for me?
For attorney conducted panel voir dire
Request is
of the jury.
pretty straightforward. We would maintain a categorical list of topics that is in line with the statute.
Does that
previous
mean that
experiences with the
they
criminal
want
legal system,
her in
characteristics
there?
of the case, including media attention, things of that nature, biases in favor of law enforcement or vice versa, personal beliefs about driving under the influence? We think that's attendant to this particular case in particular. Involvement in any relationships involving domestic violence, involvement in motor vehicle crashes, those categorical issues.
Yeah,
whether
they're
they've ever been
probably
victims
out of
of violent
context,
crime,
are
and
they?
their general ability to be fair and impartial
I have a
in
compilation
light
too.
of Ms. Reed's
Don't you worry.
constitutional rights to.
Okay,
to
well, we covered all of that last time as well, right?
and that's exactly right. So we're not asking to change the categorical subject matter. We just believe that a panel voir dire conducted, at least in part, with limitations, obviously, time limitations and subject matter limitations by the attorneys, would be of great
look,
assistance to both counsel.
I do not.
And the defense in
I don't-
determining.
I don't like Turtle Boy either at all, but there are parts that have been misrepresented in his. Like, I don't agree with his methodology and how he goes about it. Yes, he's been a prick. He's arrogant. He's rude. But there have been things in this trial or in this whole thing that he has exposed, and brought to light. I've actually went right back today. I've been watching bits from the last trial, putting bits and pieces together, and yeah, I was looking at myself 9 months ago and my setup, and I'm like, oh, it was really, it was very different, very different. But yeah, basically half the time he'll find something out. He'll report on it. The people that he's reported on crack the shits and then decide, well, actually, there was a few of them that got together. One of them even pretended that she was pregnant with his child. And yeah, end up starting these ridiculous witness intimidation charges. And now Lieutenant, is it Tully, I think, they want to get him, basically they want to shut him up and get him in jail so that he can't talk or testify during this trial. And they'll do it any way they fucking can.
A juror's ability to sit through an extensive trial, a complex trial, and something that's going to be obviously hotly contested. The chemistry between and among jurors is more borne out if there is at least a modicum of panel discussion between and among the jurors and counsel who will be handling the case on behalf of Ms. Reed and on behalf of the Commonwealth. We don't think that there's any prejudice to either side.
I don't think he'll even be allowed in because Brennan's put him on the fucking Commonwealth witness list. And you watch, he won't even call him.
Certainly not to the Commonwealth, certainly not to us. I think all of us would benefit, including the court, would benefit from being able to impanel a fairer and more comprehensive jury.
Okay, what's the Commonwealth's position?
Who cares?
Of course, we defer to the court. However, we prefer a
Of course you
question.
do, you brown-nosed fucker.
For dare, there will be quite a bit of contest on the subject areas, the limitations, the parameters. I wouldn't say anticipate, but I worry that it will digress into trying to craft
You like that sleeping
the argument, the
assassin.
direction of argument in a way that's favorable to each side's cause. And that really isn't the purpose of it, but that seems to happen in the limited times I've engaged in it. And so I think the questionnaire is more structured. It allows for all the different subject areas that are important to both sides.
Oh, look,
And I
and popcorn.
may misunderstand, but I think the court allows follow-up on questions where there is any inquiry or concern or a follow-up that's reasonable and necessary. And I understand that has been a liberal application, and I think that suffices.
The only thing I would say to that, if I may speak from here, the only thing I would say to that is I completely agree. I think a questionnaire is enormously helpful, especially as it pertains to a panel voir dire. And quite frankly, Your Honor, in my experience,
does
that's what
now.
we do where I'm from, is panel
I
voir dire consistently.
He does now, yes. He's turned into an arrogant, the flame has gone to his head. But way back at the start, it was different. Before he had all that shit.
faster. It's actually much more efficient to do a panel voir dire than it is to do an individual voir dire. That's all I'll say about that.
So I'm a huge proponent of panel voir dire in the right case. My biggest concern here, frankly, if we didn't have the inordinate amount of publicity on this case so close to trial, I heard that there was something last night. It's been in the news, right? And it's continuing. It's because of that. I'm afraid it's just going to blow up the panels. So, and I have a lot of discretion here. I'm not going to allow panel voir dire. I will allow a robust, as I did last time, voir dire at sidebar. We're also on for final trial conference today and tomorrow. So I need a list of witnesses from the defense. I need you to fill out a report so that we know exactly what is still left that we have to deal with. And jury voir dire is a very important part of this. So I expect, as last time, to be able to use a questionnaire, but I want you to agree to it. And if you can't, I need that. I need that by the end of today. If you're not going to agree to it, have you proposed a questionnaire? Have both sides talked about a questionnaire recently?
We haven't, but we do have the advantage. Both sides has the advantage of the one from last year. There may be some adjustments, but I think we've got a good backbone to start with.
So let's do that. What Mr. Brennan's new to the case. When I need in a questionnaire is it has to be one page, both sides, no more than one page. At the end of our hearing tomorrow, I would like to talk about the particulars of it. We have a huge amount of jurors coming in, and I have some ideas on how we might best utilize that with the questionnaire, but I need to talk to counsel about that at the end of all these hearings today. All right, but just to be clear, no panel voir dire on this case, unfortunately, I think because of all the publicity. And we'll do extensive voir dire at sidebar and the questionnaire. So 566 then is denied because it's requesting panel voir dire. 567, defendant's motion for order prohibiting the Commonwealth and its agents from speaking with or having contact with any witnesses once they've taken the stand. So is there an objection to that, Mr. Brennan?
There's not. I believe that rule should apply to both sides. I have no objection.
Okay. Mr. Jackson, do you agree it applies to both sides? Ms. Little?
Thank you.
Okay. All right, so that, Mr. Clerk, 567 allowed as to both sides.
Oh.
570, defendant's motion eliminate to exclude irrelevant, inadmissible, and prejudicial evidence regarding alleged harassment and or intimidation of witnesses. All right.
Thank you, Your Honor. The first trial, I'll note, was riddled with what we believe to be inadmissible and highly, highly prejudicial testimony from a bunch of witnesses who took the opportunity to describe harassment and distress that they felt from third parties, both on social media and otherwise. No third party, including any blogger, any social media personality, any member of the public, no third party speaks for Ms. Reed. No third party speaks for the defense. No third party acts on behalf of Ms. Reed, is directed by Ms. Reed or the defense, or is under Ms. Reed or the defense's control. None. There were
little boys in the room.
very
there.
obviously
That's
vile
You can
acts
see
that were
his
described during the course of the
his
first
arms
trial.
right at the screen.
In these witnesses' testimony, to the extent that they did occur, they are obviously in no way
Right here.
condoned by the defense, by Ms. Reed,
That's
or anybody
little boy
connected
there.
with the defense in this case. And they're in no way connected to Ms. Reed or the defense. And notwithstanding that, the witnesses strongly suggested that Ms. Reed and the defense itself were somehow responsible for these alleged and very reprehensible things that they were describing. In one notable instance, Jennifer McCabe recounted being harassed by a blogger. She didn't name the blogger, but she said, quote, "The defense is very familiar with this person," end quote. That was her trial testimony, and she looked right at the jurors when she said it. And the very obvious overture was, "You know who this is, Mr. Jackson. I was the one cross-examining her, and you're responsible for it." In some way, shape, form, or fashion. She outright suggested to the jury that Ms. Reed and the defense were responsible for the acts that she went on to describe in great detail, in which we agree, if they occurred, are vile, reprehensible, unacceptable. There are clearly, as we all know now, there are clearly people out there who are very deeply concerned about what they consider, the others consider an unjust prosecution of an innocent person for a crime that she did not commit. There is an enormous amount of emotion injected throughout the community, this community and beyond, and we don't control that. And if people have suffered as a result of that, Ms. Reed, very specifically, should not be the one to have to bear that burden, and she did in the first trial. Those individuals out there who are emotional about the case, who are a proponent of one side or the other, they speak for themselves, they act for themselves, they act on their own accord. They certainly don't act at the direction of the defense or of Ms. Reed. And to allow these sort of what ultimately can only be described as salacious anecdotes into evidence, coupled with the sobbing and the crying and the breaking down on the witness stand, which also happened, it serves to visit an extreme and an extraordinary prejudice against Ms. Reed, very, very specifically and very targeted like a laser on her. And it's for conduct that's completely out of her control and completely unassociated with her.
You're lumping a lot of us in the one basket. And I don't believe it. I come under that. I mean, I fall under the same heading, but I don't believe that I am here but I don't have any concern for wrongful convictions or money that I made. $50 I made last month for a whole month of night shift. Woo!
What may be most galling about the Commonwealth's
Didn't
presentation
pay for my internet.
of this evidence in the first trial of witness intimidation was that they
In
were
fact,
in
YouTube don't
possession.
even
They
pay you
actually
unless you
knew.
reach $100 or more.
Mr. Lally, Ms.
Don't
McLaughlin,
be paid.
they knew at the time the information was presented and propounded in front of the jury that a grand jury had been impaneled to hear evidence on whether or not Ms. Reed was in any way liable for witness intimidation, witness harassment, or anything associated with that.
So the grand jury has a particular standard, right? Not any way, right? Probable
I
cause
understand
standard,
that.
right? Okay.
But notwithstanding that standard, the question was she in any way liable for that harassment and intimidation? And that standard is extremely low. We all know the ham sandwich effect. And even the grand jury said, no, there is absolutely nothing to see here. There's no evidence that she was responsible for
I
intimidation.
actually do a lot of research. I do. And Anna, stop it. I've got a mouthful of popcorn. Hang on. Gotta be done. Where is it? There it is.
Shout out to the person that just gave us a super chat. This community is just the best. Love you all the different.
Thank you.
Intimidation or harassment.
Yes,
such
that's
that
little
they
boy
determined
just there.
that there was a no bill. And what is bothersome is that the Commonwealth was aware of that and didn't disclose it. We didn't find out about that until in October. I think it was an October notice of discovery when we finally found out that a no bill was issued indicating that Ms. Reed.
Really?
When was that no
Well,
bill
it's
issued?
easier. It's not.
Shout out to the person that just gave us a super chat. This community is just the best. Love you all the different.
Every time I see you type that, I glance at it. I think it says anal. I don't know why. Don't let me not play on the internet anymore. Oh dear. Oh dear. Thank you. Tags. Oh, you're a pack of tags. Hang on.
Shout out to the person that just gave us a super chat. This community is just the best. Love you all the different.
It's a good thing that my microphone mic mutes every time that comes on. Oh, who's that? Start.
It's that time. Are you ready for it? Let's all get up there. Sharp business.
You like that? Yeah, a new segment coming. Oh dear, thank you. Ah, I need
You said
tissues
when or
now.
where? When? I want to say March 23rd, March 27th is what I'm being told. It was late March, before the first trial.
Pack of dags.
And they knew this, and they didn't provide what I believed, and I think what the court would have ruled would be exculpatory information to us to cross-examine these witnesses who say, hey, look, I've suffered at the hands of the community, of these bloggers.
So my memory is I kept it out, and then I have a very clear memory of you opening the door with Jennifer McCabe, and it came in through there.
So the court did make that ruling that ultimately, if the door is open, these witnesses are going to be able to talk about it.
But I kept it out prior to that.
Understood.
Okay.
Sometimes.
I don't want to revisit that issue. The court
Oh, that's what I was
I
doing.
didn't think that we had opened the door. It was whatever that door was. It was on some very, very significant lubricant. It was going to be very easy.
Read the transcript.
I have.
These
several
are
times.
gold.
In any event, I believe that the court should make the.
I got my daughter to put one on my back yesterday. They're basically a local anaesthetic, so it's lidocaine, and it sticks to you like it's jelly on sort of on one side. And she touched it, and she's like, it's like a snail. And I was in the shower today, and I forgot I had one on. It just swelled up like this. And it was a big, slimy, goopy thing. I have to save it for her. I have to soak one and but they're worth their weight in gold. Oh my God. I just love them. So, but I have to stand up and get into an awkward position to put this on. So I'll play this and I'll turn the camera off.
Exact same order this time and have a more defined, we should have a more defined understanding of what would reasonably open that door. I didn't think that I came anywhere close to it. The court disagreed and the information came in. But it's so prejudicial. It was so extremely prejudicial as to this read that I think we need to revisit that issue and get a more clarifying order about.
Shut the fuck up. If we don't put our foot down at some point with the government, we're in deep trouble in this country. I mean, it's that simple.
Yep.
It's that simple.
Yep.
They don't get to just make up the rules as they go.
No, they
In
don't.
order to get convictions.
True.
Talking about what he knows, what happened to the taillight. You weren't there, Hank Brennan. Shut the fuck up.
Sorry. Not sorry.
Can. I wasn't able to do that in the first trial because I didn't think that I had even approached the line, but ultimately the court disagreed. So what we're asking in this instance is that we get a clarifying order that it is not admissible. Obviously, if we walk in and say something about witness intimidation, you've never been intimidated by anybody, have you? Obviously, that would open the door. That's not what would happen. That's not what happened last time. What happened last time was Jennifer McCabe basically decided that she wanted to talk about that issue and sort of walked through it, at least in my view, having reviewed the transcript. In any event, I think the court understands what our concern is with regard to the subject matter. We don't want a free-for-all of people, one person after another walking into court and basically lambasting the defense for all intents and purposes about things that are completely out of our control. Even if there is some suffering by the public or by bloggers or by whomever that these witnesses have had to undergo, that is not at the hands of the defense, and we shouldn't have to, Ms. Reed very specifically, should not have to suffer through that testimony when it looks very, very clear that at least the Commonwealth wants the jurors to believe this is all at the hands of Ms. Reed. She's been the one engaging in this, or the defense has, which is just not true. So we would ask for a clarifying order on that issue very specifically.
Mr. Brennan.
I can appreciate the defense wanting to identify the line in which they would open the door to evidence about harassment and abuse of witnesses. I understand why that would be important. But to convert that into a speech that absolutely defies reality and grossly misstates the history and facts of this case is beyond me, It wasn't just last night when Attorney Jackson and his colleagues appeared on a documentary where Ms. Reed talked about speaking frequently to Mr. Carney, sharing anything public with him. And you would have to choose to be oblivious to think that that information that is shared was then not generated to intimidate and harass witnesses for 2 years. In fact, Mr. Carney has over a dozen indictments for just that. You've had an opportunity to hear the conversations recorded with Gretchen Voss. You've heard about the tactics used by the defense in the dissemination, not just of public information. So to try to make a public record that is so grossly, not only inept, but fraudulent, I don't understand the purpose of that when the simple question is, what is the threshold of opening a door? We have a motion later this afternoon in another courtroom on this very issue. And I'm not going to go through an entire resuscitation of the evidence or information that I have, because that inevitably would be unfair. But it is unfair to stand up here at this podium and suggest for a second that Ms. McCabe is using a witness box as some type of forum. She didn't drag herself into this case. She was dragged into it. And to suggest they can stand here and bash witnesses in the text of their argument, unsolicited attacks, because it pleases them. It's their narrative.
I want them to
It's
pan
something I
over
can't
to
just sit
Turtle Boy's
by and listen
face.
to. The Commonwealth,
Yeah.
the prosecutors weren't outside patting their bloggers on the butt for a job well done after witnesses were harassed at their family events. That didn't happen. And so if the issue is, what is the threshold when Mr. Jackson opened the door? Well, you can read the transcript. It's very obvious. Open-ended questions, personal attacks, baseless accusations. That opens the door. And it will open the door again, I suspect. And we'll be prepared. I think the issue is really a trial issue and an attorney having control of their question so they don't open the door. That really is the issue.
So do you agree it doesn't come in the Commonwealth's case in chief with these witnesses?
I don't think it ever should have come in the case in chief, and I don't think it would have until I saw the very clear questions that opened that door. I have no intention of raising a collateral issue or trying to present prior bad acts that I haven't sought admissibility for. So I agree. I agree.
So if you've got an indictment, you're instantly guilty. Where's the presumption of innocence?
Your Honor, if I may very briefly.
Sure, just give me 1 second. I want to take one note.
Of
Okay?
course.
No.
All right, go ahead, Mr.
I
Jackson.
just wonder if where this ire and these invectives from Mr. Brennan come from. He said that I stood up here just a second ago and attacked witnesses and bashed witnesses and made fraudulent statements. Was he listening?
No, he's a
I didn't
cop.
bash a witness. I didn't attack a witness. I didn't make any fraudulent statements. The Commonwealth made their best effort to tether Ms. Reed to Aiden Kearney. And they did it through a grand jury. And those members of the grand jury said, no, it's not true. It didn't happen. That's what they said at the lowest burden known in criminal justice. So Mr. Brennan can stand up all he wants and say, I saw a TV show and I saw this and I heard an interview. And clearly, there's been communication between Ms. Reed and Mr. Kearney. It's sure, there's been communication. It's very different from
So they
directing
focus on him.
witness intimidation, directing witness harassment for the purposes of undermining a prosecution. That's what they've accused her of. And they failed. And then they kept that from us when they failed and allowed this sort of fabrication of the witness. And I'm not saying that the intimidation that was described on the witness stand was fabricated. That's not at all what I'm saying. Maybe it was true. Maybe
Well, it was.
What was fabricated is that it was connected to Ms. Reed or connected to us. So nobody's up here, Your Honor, and I take issue with Mr. Brennan's tone and tenor. We can all be professional. We can all advocate very zealously and robustly. But let's keep it professional. I didn't stand up here and attack a witness, or what did he say? Bash witnesses. Use this as an opportunity to bash people. But we could calm the drama down just a little bit.
Yeah. Thank you.
All we're asking is that it not come in, and I will stipulate and agree with Mr. Brennan that this not come in the Commonwealth's case in chief. And we will be very mindful of what would conceivably open a door to this kind of testimony. And I'll probably seek the court's guidance before I ask a specific question that I think comes anywhere close to that. We'll ask the court's guidance by coming to sidebar. And I think that could resolve the issue.
Okay, thank you. I'm going to look at this a little more closely. All right, the next one is paper 571, and the Commonwealth's corresponding is your number 12, our paper 586. So the defendant's moving to exclude
Don't you have a box to move?
the serum plasma ethanol concentration, blood ethanol concentration conversion, and corresponding retrograde extrapolation analysis. So who's arguing this for the defense? Because I'm going to ask you whether you want to argue your opposition to it or have the Commonwealth make their argument for admission of it. Who's arguing it for the defense?
Your Honor, I am. And to answer your question, the defense preference would be for the Commonwealth to go first, and we
Alright.
would respond, including with regard to the motion.
Okay, so Mr. Brennan, our paper 386, your number 12.
Let me see if I've got this one. I'm sure I have.
Your Honor, paper number 12 seeks to admit the results
93
of the defendant's
motions.
blood draw at the Good Samaritan Hospital and the resulting
Oh,
serum
yes, I've got this one.
conversion and retrograde extrapolation.
Yep.
This being a OUI manslaughter and murder case, the statutes that the defense cites don't apply. This is not a simple OUI case. We expect that we will have a witness from the hospital describing the protocol. We will have a witness from the hospital to testify about the blood draw, and we will have an independent, or we'll have an expert to talk about the blood serum conversion. These medical records are admissible. We've cited Chapter 233, Section 79 as a business record. I know the defense takes issue with that. However, these records are routinely admissible. Commonwealth vs. Hallinan, 491 Mass, 730, page 736, note 9. Blood alcohol serum conversion and retrograde extrapolation is admissible. While the standards may be different because it happened at a hospital, these are agencies, hospitals are facilities that have standards that comply, that are trustworthy, and this evidence should come in pursuant to those cases in that statute.
All right, now I'll hear you,
Fiji
Mr.
water.
Alessi.
What the fuck
Thank
did
you,
that come from?
Attorney Brennan misstates our position that is clearly set forth in our papers. We are not citing to statutes that discuss consent of Ms. Reed. So I just want to take that because he's conflated issues and not addressed the main issue. Attorney Brennan just said that the results are reliable. And I appreciate very much that he has raised that.
They're very,
because
very
not only is there no proof that the results are reliable, there's proofs in the first trial admissions as by Mr. Roberts, as well as impliedly by Ms. Knowles, that they're not reliable. And here's why. There is no record evidence as to the method of the hospital determining those levels. Specifically, with regard to the medical records in the chemistry section of those, it says in an annotation, the drug testing, this report is intended for use in clinical monitoring and management of patients. And here's the key statement. It is not intended for use in employment-related drug testing or court-related proceedings. And the issue with regard to the reliability of the testing is it is not stated the basics to go to reliability. Specifically, there's no documentation of how the alcohol test result was obtained, through what procedure, by whom, and the key, what manner of testing. There's two ways to do it: gas chromatography and enzymatic testing. And there's a huge difference in the reliability between the two. There is no record evidence, and it's the Commonwealth's burden of proof to establish reliability. There's no evidence of any of those foundational aspects with regard to the testing. So with regard to those test results, the Commonwealth has to establish the reliability. It is not enough for the attorney for the Commonwealth to simply to stand up and ipsy dixit in saying they're reliable when there is a lack of the information of the factors I just rehearsed with regard to the matter. And another key aspect, which is conceded by the Commonwealth, they concede that the testing did not occur at an accredited laboratory.
Oh,
They concede it. And it's in every single report of the Commonwealth. And we put that in Exhibit A to our motion. For example, it's Exhibit A, the very first page, COM 000994, serum plasma conversion report. It states 2 paragraphs under the chart with an asterisk, The ethanol result used in the serum plasma conversion report was provided by an external party. The testing to obtain the ethanol result was not performed at the Massachusetts State Police Crime Laboratory, and therefore this report does not fall under the laboratory scope of accreditation. Not the words of the defense.
So that's from the State Police Crime Lab, right?
Pardon me?
That's from the State Police Crime Lab, right?
That's correct. And with regard to the next document, which is our Exhibit B, in terms of changing that conclusion in that statement, there is nothing in there to remedy that statement. Exhibit C also mentions, and this is NDAO 296, under background, it's the same statement. The ethanol result used in this retrograde extrapolation
Basically,
report was
they've
provided
just-
by an external.
In this motion in limine, the Commonwealth have just said that they haven't actually researched it. They haven't actually subpoenaed anybody. They haven't even looked into what records the hospital even has. They're just saying that the record of the blood test is admissible, and any records kept by the hospital shall be admissible, which will just be a blood test. There won't be anything like, it'll be the blood test results that you get, with all your things that were tested down one side, and then the reading. But it won't have any testing. It won't have anything to do with when she last ate. It won't have anything to do with her state of hydration. I don't think anyone's denying that they were all drinking and driving. It's the actual retrograde conversion of the blood alcohol serum and the way that it's calculated, I think, is what's in question.
Party. The testing to obtain the ethanol result was not performed at the Massachusetts State Police Crime Laboratory. So what we have with regard to the foundation of reliability, we don't know what type of test result this third party did, gas, chromatography, or enzymatic, and we don't know any of the other factors, and it's the burden of the Commonwealth to establish the reliability of that testing. So in conclusion, Your Honor, given that the Commonwealth has not satisfied its burden in this
There's
regard,
nothing in the motion.
the testing that has been performed is not reliable.
All right.
It should be excluded.
Okay. Do you want to respond, Mr. Brennan?
I would suggest the court look to Dr. Fowler's testimony. He testified how blood was taken, how it was preserved, what tests were conducted in the lab at Good Samaritan Hospital, how the lab is accredited. And this is the same issue argued at the first trial, but inevitably Dr. Fowler's testimony is what establishes the foundation for the admissibility.
Okay.
May I just respond briefly?
Did he take the blood?
Your Honor has often said that this is a new trial. The Commonwealth for this trial has to establish that foundation. They
Yes.
can't point to the testimony
Yes.
in another trial
Yes.
to establish it. That should have been in their motion in opposition, that they should have put that in, assuming that that is accurate. But it is not in their motion here, and that cannot be relied upon to defend the lack
Yep.
of reliability with
Fair
regard
enough.
to those factors. And I will also note that none of the witnesses I just rehearsed, Mr. Roberts nor Ms. Knowles,
They're
when
not
they
in
talk
his-
about the first trial,
they're not in his
ever
motion.
referenced that as curative of what they said for lack of accreditation. And if we're again going to go back to testimony of the first trial, Mr. Roberts on cross-examination clearly expressed concerns with regard to these foundational absences with regard to testing. Thank you.
Okay. I think we have time for one last motion before we take the morning recess.
Yeah.
Paper number 574, defendant's motion eliminate to exclude witnesses.
Yeah, but did you see the very at the end? I think it was at the rebuttal. they had video of her. Like they provided the receipts for at 9:01, right? 9:01 at the bottle shop for 4 small bottles of white wine and 1 big bottle of red, and then they produced 1 empty one of the same brand in the center console of her car after the accident. And then they produced internal CCTV footage from her house When she got back from lunch, filling up her glasses and knocking them back. Oh, sorry, back spasm. Knocking them back half an hour before she left, and then tried to claim that it was a seizure. No. You don't drive backwards, have an accident into a vehicle, have your airbag deploy, then put it in drive and take off like a bat out of hell. Yeah, no, they got that one right. Yeah. And alcoholics can really, really cover. Oh, yes, a gabapentin, yes. Yeah. But I only had one drink at the bar. Yeah. You've been drinking since 9:01 when you got home, and I guarantee you, all 4 of those little bottles and that big bottle were gone by the time you left at 3. I know, because my dad's an alcoholic.
There's prior criminal history. Who's arguing now for the defense? Is there no objection to this? This is regarding Richard Green.
It doesn't qualify pursuant to the statute.
All right, that was my question to you. How do you expect to get it in?
They don't.
Okay. All right, so this motion is allowed. That's 574 is allowed, Mr. Clerk.
574, what was that one? This is very handy being able
All right,
to
so what
go
I'll do
through
is I'll see counsel at sidebar regarding scheduling.
Why don't I have 574? 572, 575. I bet you they've released more, and I haven't seen them. Geez, they've still got, if we're up to 574, we've got 1, 2, we've got to 601 to get to. That's how many bullshit fucking motions have just been. On the 3rd of the 11th, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, plus ones I haven't got. And they're probably about half. So the next one should be what, 575? This is a motion to appoint a court reporter. Commonwealth requests that the court appoint a stenographer for the trial and deem impounded the names of all jurors, and that sidebar discussions and juror names be unavailable to the public until a verdict is returned. The Commonwealth also requests that spectators and journalists be ordered to refrain from attempting to provide specific identifying information of jurors or they never did any of that. Norfolk Superior Court uses traditional courtroom stenographers and for the record, equipment to record for the record. It's a good name for a podcast. Oh, FTR. Just worked that out. Recordings may be available less than 24 hours after the courtroom event without any opportunity for a party to have notice or an opportunity to object. showing of good cause may overcome the public's right of access to judicial records.
All right, to the court, please.
You are muted.
We'll be recessed 15 minutes.
There's a good new trial starting today. What is it? Oh. Old case. 15 years ago, a young woman was stabbed to death. Her old roommate is now accused of her murder. I think I saw Jose Morales is supposed to be starting today as well. Which I think I saw that trial come up when I was looking for the Jose Morales feed. That's the one out of Connecticut that I've been waiting for. Was supposed to start on the 18th of Feb and then got postponed to the 18th of March. Let me see if I can have a look. Whilst they're on sidebar. Oh, past it. All right. What have we got? Oh, that's day 32 for Monica Cementilli. Right, they've got the snowplow, day 5, which we'll be doing after this as a sleep stream. And I can't believe I caught up on that yesterday. Where is it? Come on. Pop TV. That's the, is it Nicola Rice, toxic roommate murder trial? Where did you get that name from? ND versus Knutson. I've got ND versus Nicole Rice. Oh, is that the victim, did you say?
In Minot, North Dakota, Gordon Knutson could not reach his 18-year-old daughter, Anita, so he went to her apartment.
Knutson.
Through an open window, he saw her laying on her bed, reached in, and discovered she was cold. She had 2 stab wounds and bled to death. For 15 years, Anita's murder haunted the town.
I wish we could have solved this sooner.
Then, 2 cold case investigators were assigned full-time, and the department brought in resources from the oxygen hit Cold Justice.
Now, after nearly 15 years of investigating and following up on leads, and the suspect is in custody.
That suspect, Nicole Rice, who was Nicole Thomas back then.
She was the roommate at the time of the murder.
The 35-year-old married mom was working at the Minot Air Force Base as a civilian when she was taken into custody in March of 2022. Police say in 2007 she told them she was at her parents' farm 20 miles away when Anita was killed. And over the years, her story changed a lot.
Probably at least dozens, but probably over, maybe over 100 statements that were taken.
Police say she lied to them about where she was when Anita was killed, as well as tension with Anita before the murder. A former boyfriend says she confessed to him while drunk And another witness said after Anita's murder, Nicole referred to her in ways we can't repeat here.
Oh.
Police say Nicole's reputation at the time was hot-tempered and reactionary, while Anita was seen as kind and likable.
There was not one person that had anything bad to say about Anita. So to me, this was a young girl with a great future that was taken away from her family way too soon.
Nicole Rice is charged with 1 count of felony murder, a Class AA felony in North Dakota that carries a maximum sentence of life without parole.
So it's not a death penalty state. Oh, so that's starting. Oh, in about 20 minutes. Oh no. Yeah. There's some nasty shit going on at the moment. Right. Look at that.
Justice will find you.
Don't do this to me. Don't ruin my life.
Malice behind your eyes.
Bathtub to shock her into waking up.
That which defines you.
Babysitter in Sandy Springs.
Eating at your broken mind.
Is now charged with murder of the death of a 2-year-old girl.
And they cry.
This injury doesn't just appear out of nowhere. Do you know that accidents happen all the time?
I do. Justice for fallen. Never forget what they did. Justice for fallen. You couldn't break her smile.
29-year-old mother of 2, Kirsty Flood, began babysitting 2-year-old Fallon Lynn Fridley in August of 2020. This went on for 4 months, 3 days a week, without incident. But on December 9th, the nightmare began when Fallon was found unresponsive in Kirsty's care before being rushed to the hospital. Various injuries on the toddler's body led to an investigation that would send shockwaves through the local community. Crying voices laced with rage screamed in unison. Justice for Fallon.
Oh, look
I
at
tried
her.
to call and text Kirsty several times, and calls were going straight to voicemail.
I'm Mr. Black, and this is the disturbing truth.
He said, "Should we just go get her?" And I said, "No, she'll be fine." I regret that now every day.
On Wednesday, December 9th of 2020, just 16 miles from Atlanta, Georgia, in a town called Sandy Springs, a typical day began for Kristen Fridley, or Chris, and her 2-year-old daughter,
There's a
Fallon.
lot. This isn't a trial. This is a 2-hour presentation. So there's stories like this that they put snippets of the trial and stuff in, but they tell a story. And this is what I would like to do a bit more of. Which is what the Let's All Get Up in Show Business what do you call it? Segment is supposed to cover. Me doing the reporting on a story that's not actually a trial as such, which would help free up a bit of my having to be up all night every night time, but still be able to put out some content and then concentrate on a few key trials that I really want to do. I've got a whole Bible full of stuff planned. Because there's only so many trials I can cover, unfortunately. But yeah, I'd like to be able to. There's a heap of these that I've got saved that are about 1-2 hours long, that I can go through and research a bit and tell the story, which I enjoy doing. But yeah, this is just awful. They're still on a break. You can still watch this if you like.
The toddler was woken up at 6 a.m., dressed and given her morning snack, along with a cup of almond milk. Kristen told her daughter that she loved her and received the usual sweet reply of,
"You sweetheart." My daughter is Alicia, but we call her Lalu because that's how she used to say "I love you" because she couldn't say it. Lalu, Lalu.
before Fallon and her stepfather Cameron Gant
I like
left
that
the
name.
house.
Look at her.
Cameron would drop Fallon off at the babysitter's house at around 6:30 a.m. before heading on to work. Chris worked as a veterinary technician for an animal rescue organization while Cameron was a landscaper. When Fallon's daycare closed during COVID, Chris's friend of about 5 years, Kirsty Flood, would look after the little girl while the couple worked. In many ways, it would have seemed like the ideal situation. Kirsty was a close, long-term friend. So close, in fact, that years prior, she helped Chris come out of a struggle with addiction. Kirsty was seemingly worthy of the trust bestowed on her, especially considering the history she and Chris shared. And even more especially after 4 months of constant reliability in her care. Chris said herself that Fallon seemed so happy in Kirsty's care that some days when they would come to pick her up, she didn't even want to leave.
Hey, Fallon, come here. High five. I love you. High five.
Flood had 2 children herself, an 8-month-old and a 3-year-old daughter named Harper. Fallon and the 3-year-old were best friends. Everything seemed like the perfect setup. While Chris was at work on December 9th, she received a text around 1:30 p.m. from Kirsty, asking if Fallon could stay the night at her house. In 4 months of babysitting, Fallon had never stayed overnight at Kirsty's, but Chris had no reason to suspect anything was off with the request. After all, 2-year-old Fallon and 3-year-old Harper were best friends. If anything, it just looked like a sleepover in good company, with familiar, trustworthy people. People who had been there when Chris herself was struggling.
So
What
he
harm
had
could it
paper.
do? Chris called Kirsty when she got off work at around 4:30 p.m., but got no answer. When she texted Kirsty asking how Fallon was doing, Kirsty responded saying that Fallon was fine, but they were all at the park and her phone was about to die. While odd, it didn't send off any immediate red flags. Later, Chris tried to call and text Kirsty several times, but all those calls went straight to voicemail. Stepfather Cameron was starting to feel uneasy at this point and even suggested that perhaps they should just go pick Fallon up. But still, Chris thought there was no major cause for concern because Kirsty was someone she trusted and even looked up to.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Fallon. Happy birthday to you. Yay! Blow it.
Blow it.
At around 6:30 p.m., Kirsty finally messages Chris to say that everyone is home and safe. Chris replies with no problem and asks if she can FaceTime Fallon. Kirsty tells Chris to give her an hour to charge her phone first. Then an hour later, Kirsty FaceTimes Chris from a very dim-lit room where Fallon appears to be propped up on the bed. Kirsty explains to Chris that Fallon has just woken up from a nap. Chris said the phone was roughly 5 feet from her daughter, and while she didn't notice anything visibly off in the dim room, Fallon was not responding to her mother. This was out of character, according to Chris and Cameron. Then when Chris asked Fallon if she wanted to talk to Daddy and passed the phone to Cameron, the call suddenly ended. Cameron again suggested going to pick Fallon up, but again, Chris declined, a decision she regrets to this day.
Always go with your gut.
A couple of hours later, at around 9:20 p.m., Chris receives a crying phone call from a hysterical Kirsty Flood, telling her that she needs to come to Kirsty's apartment immediately. She claimed Fallon had hit her head on a slide and wasn't moving. Paramedics were already on the scene working on the little girl at this time. An officer got on the phone and asked if Chris and Cameron could meet them at the hospital. Next, Chris Fridley found herself facing a parent's worst fear. She was standing in a room at Children's Healthcare of Atlanta with Cameron and her mother. They were in there for what felt like hours. It was a small private room, the kind one might expect to see in an emergency department. This was the kind of room that no one wants to be in. The kind of room with walls that rarely echo good news. Chris demanded to know what was going on and begged to see her daughter, but her pleas were denied. Fallon was alive, and the doctors were running tests and doing everything they could to stabilize the 2-year-old, a 2-year-old whose mother was getting angry. Chris couldn't understand why she couldn't be beside the angel she created. But looking back, she now assumes that she too may have been initially suspected. And what the world now knows was a horrific case of child abuse. The doctor came into the room randomly with updates too vague to conclude anything inherently negative or positive from, but one thing stood out to Fallon's mother. A question he asked in repetition.
What happened to your daughter?
Chris was distraught, confused, maybe even offended at the audacity. Was she getting blamed for something? What exactly had happened to her daughter? She had no idea.
I was asking to see Fallon. They said not yet, we're working on her, and they wouldn't let me see her.
The only information she'd been given was that her daughter had fallen off a slide and hit her head. But the doctor explained that Fallon's injuries were not conducive to playground injuries. In fact, he'd never seen a child recover from damages as severe as those he'd seen on the 2-year-old's body. Simply put, Fallon would need nothing short of a miracle to survive.
Does your daughter have any health conditions?
The doctor asked a now hysterical Chris. But apart from a mild heart murmur that had seemingly mended itself by the child's 2-year checkup, the answer was no, she didn't. Not that anyone was aware of, anyway. But it was clear that Fallon's injuries were nothing to do with a heart murmur. The doctor left the room again. In that moment, a calmness washed over Chris. It was as if a part of her brain shut off. Unfortunately for the family of Fallon Fridley, what Chris refers to as a sweet glaze of denial was nothing more than the calm before the storm. A few moments later, an older man entered the room and introduced himself as the chaplain. But Chris didn't want to see a chaplain. Her daughter was going to be fine. She was offended by his presence because it alluded to a tragedy that she believed was not going to occur. The doctor said himself a miracle could save Fallon, and in her mother's mind, that's exactly what was going to happen. That's what had to happen. When the family was moved to the PICU waiting room, they thought they were finally going to get to see their little girl.
The doctor came in and said we have her stable, but critical.
So Chris and Cameron were relieved, and seeing as the PICU room had a bed in it, they began to discuss what they needed from home in order to stay overnight. But the problem was, when they were told the words stable but critical, they only heard the word stable. A new female doctor greeted them in the PICU room to discuss Fallon's condition and have the family sign off on some medical procedures. One of these procedures involved inserting a catheter into the child's leg. On the form it read, 90% chance of recovery. But the doctor's expression indicated that sadly, this was not the case for Fallon. 90% was only relative to the success of the procedure itself, not the little girl's chance of survival. Fallon had immense internal bleeding, zero brain activity, and her heart was only working because of the medication she was being given. If it wasn't for medical intervention, the 2-year-old wouldn't be breathing. But as far as Chris was concerned, a miracle could still occur. Her daughter wasn't dead if her heart was still beating. No matter what they told her, there was still hope. If Fallon was alive, she could pull through. But as much as Kristen Fridley couldn't accept the information she was given, she was about to have to face the truth of the matter. As a cold blue was called to the doctor that stood before her, Chris's life would forever change with 5 simple words. Her heart stopped beating again. After the family was asked to follow the doctor out of the room and down the hall, they were led into another room where they finally got to see their baby girl. But it wasn't how any parent should ever have to see their child. It was a total nightmare. The family watched in horror as so many doctors tried to keep Fallon alive. Chest compression after chest compression after chest compression. I can't imagine the trauma that a parent would face witnessing something like that. The doctor informed the family that they would have to make the call soon. If they didn't, they'd only be doing more harm than good. Chris began to scream and beg for them to save her daughter's life. She said her legs gave out and she almost hit the floor, but someone caught her. She was hysterical, as anyone would be. When you have a 2-year-old, your life is in that child. You live your life knowing that every step you take leads to the protection and safety of that soul you created. You would never concede, you would never give up on them. It just isn't possible. But while Kristen screamed for God to take her instead of Fallon, her cries fell upon deaf ears. The CPR stopped. The nurses and doctors backed away from the little girl's bedside, and the room went silent. Chris rushed to her daughter, crying out and begging her to wake up, but she wouldn't. She was gone. A nearby nurse gently picked up Fallon and placed her into her mother's arms. Kristen Fridley held her daughter there as she stroked her hair and kissed her face until her own screams became mumbles, mutterings that still begged for her daughter Fallon to wake up. And as she sat there, she felt the baseball-sized knot on the back of Fallon's head.
Oh.
At 1:18, they let me hold her, and I could just feel back of her head how swollen it was, and her body was purple. She didn't look like my Fallon, and I'd probably stay there with her for an hour just holding her. This is what I see every night before I go to bed.
Fallon Lynn Fridley died on December 10th, 2020, in a hospital with the people who loved her the most right by her side. And while Fallon may very well be in a better place, the ones that stood near as she took her last breath wanted answers. What really happened to that innocent little girl? An autopsy of Fallon Fridley shows the child sustained a skull fracture as well as multiple internal injuries, including lacerations to her liver, her spleen, and even her colon. A medical examiner ruled the death as homicide by blunt force trauma. According to babysitter Kirsty Flood, Fallon fell and hit her head on the slide while at a park on December 9th. When they returned home to apartments on Monterey Parkway in Sandy Springs, Kirsty said she noticed the little girl was acting a little strange, so she put her to bed. Then later she claims Fallon wouldn't wake up. EMS responded to a 911 call regarding the child being unresponsive. After arriving at the apartment and administering CPR, Fallon Fridley was transported to the hospital where she would sadly pass away the following day. That same day, Kirsty is brought in to be interviewed by police regarding the matter. What you're about to see has never been seen by the public. You're going to witness the police interviews of both Kirsty Flood and her boyfriend, Jeffrey Myers. The details that unfold during the following series of interrogations are hard to hear, but listening to them helps paint a picture to better understand how things transpired the final day that Fallon Fridley was in the care of Kirsty Flood.
All right, Kirsty. This is my partner, Detective Pearson.
Hello, Mr. Pearson.
Hello. You want to leave it up? It gets so stuck being here.
Yeah, I'm ready to go out. I'm always hot 10 of morning and stuff first.
Gotcha. Well, it's hard because like right now we're in the weather where you can get cold.
You can wear a sweatshirt and shorts at the same time.
Yeah, it's so jacked up right now. Sorry, my notes are all jacked up right now because it's been one of those days, unfortunately. Sorry.
After the officers introduce themselves to Kirsty, the leading detective preps his notes to begin questioning. Kirsty asks if he's met Fallon's mother.
See you met her mom?
What's that?
Met her mom?
I did, yeah.
How's she doing?
She's obviously upset. I mean, I don't think there's any way to not be right now, not be upset. But she's upset. I met
Cameron,
I met him as too. I reserve judgment because that's what I do.
Yeah.
We
can then tell.
Well, ma'am, what I'm getting, so I'm coming in, like when you see me walking in late, that means I have absolutely no idea, or I really don't know what's going on. So can you tell me what happened to catch me up? Because again, that's why I'm not asking any questions, because I don't know exactly what's happening. So I just wanted to hear your side.
You guys didn't talk already?
No, actually,
They came in late, so
I've been so busy at the hospital and doing other things that I haven't even talked to him yet.
Okay, can I ask you one question?
Mhm.
How come they did this so fast?
Did what so fast?
Just let her go.
What do you mean let her go?
Like, well, wasn't it funny?
She's still at the hospital.
She's okay.
I mean, she's not doing okay, but she's still at the hospital.
She's okay.
Like I said, well, she's not doing good.
But she couldn't be okay.
I don't know.
She still have a heartbeat.
Heart still beating.
God,
Heart still beating.
God has a plan then.
It seems like the detective is caught off guard by the fact that Kirsty is unaware that Fallon has died. This may alter how he initially planned to conduct his questioning going forward.
If you have a heartbeat, you have the chance.
Yeah, her heart's still beating.
Thank God. Thank God. Thank God.
And Kirsty, I don't think.
Why did that dude? They were gonna tell me she was gone, and
Who said that?
the officer.
No, she's not. She's not gone. Her heart's still beating.
Why did he tell me that?
Honestly, probably just miscommunication.
Apparently, officers don't have to tell the truth during questioning.
No.
And since they've already led Kirsty to believe Fallon is alive, they probably realize she's more likely to continue to talk to them truthfully if she thinks a murder charge is off the table. At this point, if she were to admit to assaulting a child, it's a much lesser charge if that child is still alive, rather than if her crimes resulted in that child's death. And if Kirsty asks for a lawyer, the interview is over. Hope is a powerful tool in many interrogations. As long as Kirsty Flood has hope, she's likely to talk.
Just confirming, Kirsty, your last name's Flood, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, cool. Sometimes I can't even read my own writing. I'm just writing so fast and just, yeah.
We're good. So y'all don't do the mask thing, or what?
We do. Would you feel better if I had a mask on?
No, I just prefer to speak.
Yeah.
And not be, you know what I mean?
The hope that we mentioned before, coupled with the leading detective's calm, casual, friendly demeanor, could be the cause of Kirsty fully removing her mask. Maybe she's starting to relax into the situation and believes she's not in as much trouble as she once may have thought. You'll notice her tone of voice becomes more stable, and her need to hide behind the mask disappears.
I typically watch Fallon 4 days a week, roughly. I've been with my company for 6 years, so I'm getting paid unemployment to stay home. I'm also in school for cybersecurity. I have a newborn, a 3, almost 4-year-old, and Fallon is 2. Like I said, I'm with her 3-4 days a week. Me and her mom, we've been through a lot together. I helped her get sober a long time ago. Quite some time ago, I was reached out to saying that she was homeless and, strung out and, no one, she wouldn't listen to anybody. And I was just like that one person that kind of just like spoke to her, that she listened to, right? So it took her to detox. Fast forward. She went down to Miami, had Fallon in rehab with some scum. He's never raised her, never claimed her, never nothing. So I have a soft spot for Fallon. That's why I charge for $125 a week on that, and that's nothing if the price isn't daycare.
It's not expensive at all.
No, and I do it because she's a friend, and I do it because I love Fallon. I don't know Karen very well, but
We'll come back to the topic of Fallon's stepfather, Cameron, later. But Kirsty seems to want to use the information she's divulging as a way to paint herself as a saint. And to be fair, it's also worth mentioning that most of the people that spoke about Kirsty did so painting her in the light of a loving mother who adored her own children. But it's worth noting that Kirsty had a history of battery dating back to 2010, where she was ordered to undergo counseling and avoid contact with the victims of her assault. She also had a history with drugs. She goes on in her interrogation to briefly mention Fallon's stepfather, Cameron, before continuing to discuss the details that transpired on December 9th.
I don't know him. I know a little bit. I'm trying to get to know him. I'm trying to give him the benefit of the doubt. Long story short, he drops Fallon off this morning at 6 o'clock in the morning. And she stays She goes in the room with Harper. She plays with Harper for a decent amount of the day. Her and Harper, my daughter, are like best friends.
Okay.
So they play, and then finally we end up going to the park. This is hours later.
Yep.
So for breakfast she had the cereal bar, lunch, cheese puffs. They had some goldfish, graham cracker, chocolate ones.
That's healthy.
She was eating fine. She only eats junk food, right? And at my house, we incorporate vegetables.
Which says she had problems? I'm sorry.
Besides that, YouTube.
I'm trying to keep up with you. You said cereal bar for breakfast and
Cereal bar for breakfast, and then she had goldfish, cookie, the chocolate ones.
Mm-hmm.
And then she had cheese puffs. And then she had some of her yogurt. I buy her Silk yogurt because she is non-dairy. So she primarily does almond milk and stuff like that. So I buy her specific things that she likes. She is very, very small. I don't know if you ever noticed, but she doesn't really eat much. But when she does, it's typically junk food. So, that's just what it is. But anyway, so she ate that. Okay, so we get in the car. Morgan Falls is what? A mile and a half from my house?
Yeah, barely.
Kirsty is referring to Morgan Falls River Park, which leads to Overlook Park, a popular destination for families with kids as it has a nice partially covered kids' play area overlooking the Morgan Falls Reservoir.
We were the last people there.
right before dark, though.
Yeah, right when it was getting starting to get dark.
Probably by 5:30
ish. We started leaving. No, when it started getting dark, it was like I have my phone. My phone died when I was out there. But I have 4:26. How's my girl? So we're about to go to Morgan Falls. My phone is about to die. We just pulled up. She said, tell her mommy misses her. And then here's a picture of my daughter and Colin playing together, besties.
Yeah.
Right? So I'm on the floor. The reason why I'm right here is because I'm on the floor with my infant. I always bring like a little picnic thing, snacks, blanket, going on. And you got 3, you try to monitor it all. So anyways, I put both the babies on the swing, my babies, on the bucket swings. And then she goes down the slide, falls off. And when you go down a slide and you drop, that's what happened. And I was telling him she dropped, but I don't know if that had anything to do with anything. You know what I mean?
Did she cry at all?
When she's such the most quiet baby, and that is alarming in situations like at home.
Gotcha.
Kirsty has just admitted that Fallon is a very quiet child. If detectives were wondering if maybe the child had behavior problems and an adult lost control while dealing with that through abusive discipline, well, Kirsty just ruled that out. The detective peering off into space and reaching for the back of his head may indicate a restructuring of questioning strategy. It's clear that letting Kirsty speak is the most optimal thing he can do right now.
And that is what has been an issue for me, but you can't go to a mother and say, hey, the man you just married, I understand his past, but, maybe look into that a little bit better, or maybe not leave him with him all day on Friday.
Mm-hmm.
You understand what I'm saying?
Wholeheartedly, yeah.
That first of all, I would never marry a man with a record like that.
Yeah.
Second off, you're never going to be left with my child.
Yeah.
Like I said, I wouldn't even let them babysit my children.
No, I wouldn't either.
So
No
there's
way,
that.
Jose.
At this point, it's unclear exactly what past Kirsty's referring to when it comes to Cameron, or what this has to do with the damage Fallon suffered while in her care. After dropping Fallon off with Kirsty, Cameron was nowhere near the little girl. This is the second time she's mentioned Fallon's stepfather. Regardless of what his past may be, the fact remains that Cameron was not present during the time Fallon appears to have suffered the injuries. Kirsty was.
So anyway, she's always at my home. I feed her, I bathe her, I do everything for her. I try to limit her mom's stressors to the maximum degree. Basically.
Well, I was curious too. I was seeing that was pretty good. Do you have like any other pictures of her today?
Mm-hmm. Oh gosh, I'm all about the pics.
Cool. I mean, can I take a look? I just want to see because I'm just trying to play catch up. So I really appreciate you doing that.
I am all here. Let me go make it easier.
And these are today?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So these are.
She's not going to hand over her phone.
Wait a minute, that can't be her. That's your baby, right?
That's
I'm
my,
messing with you.
that's my little stud, Dawson. I love him.
So which one? Okay.
That's Fallon.
He's a cutie.
And that's my baby Harper.
Oh, what a sweet.
Yeah, so I have a 3-row seat. So I put their car seats in the back, and then I put my baby boy, face forward in the middle. Because I've been in 2 really bad car wrecks.
Oh, yeah.
So I try and I just got that sticker on there today. I mean.
Oh, this was today?
Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
That was from today.
I don't know about this picture, but this is definitely today because that was the jacket she was wearing this morning. Sometimes she likes to sleep in my son's crib. So I put that little love, those little beepy things.
The boppy or whatever it's called.
Yeah, and then I keep her safe, just in case if like I'm in the living room or whatever, because she's still little, whatever. But
I'm trying to do this and go back to the one because I'm just curious.
Which one?
The last one that you had shown. I'm sorry.
Looks like they're getting along so well, huh?
Oh, with them two?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, they're best friends. Well, you can go. I mean, really, if you look at if you look at my life is centered around my children. Was then into playing. Like I said, I consider her my child. She's literally, a part of my family. Gosh, she is right there. That's my son and my daughter. Then. So like we really, we really have made it something so special. That's why like I'm like really making sure that she's not. I don't know why he told me that she was gone.
It's possible that Kirsty may think she's coming off as a caring and responsible adult by showing pictures she took of her kids and Fallon that day. But in reality, the detectives are likely looking for visible signs of injury that may have been present during that time frame. If detectives were previously considering Chris and Cameron as suspects, this information might help rule them out. Next, the lead detective steps away, allowing the second detective to present his own questions.
You know what I mean? Then I want pictures and I need.
I'm sorry. Give me one second.
Oh, no, that's okay. So, yeah, just hang tight. Well, I'm just trying to, like I said, I was just trying to get caught up. So, so clearly the little girl she went to the hospital. Now that's what I don't understand. So I was literally asleep. And my phone rings at roughly 11 o'clock and I came in. So that was where you believed, I guess, that she may have fell off the slide or whatnot.
Okay, so, I mean, to me, the slide, the thing, whatever, that just sounds like, But then, like on the bottom of the slide, there's the bottom of the slide, and then you could like, when you lift your head up, the only thing I could think of is there maybe because I noticed like a little bit of red right here. It's nothing serious. It's like a little bit of red. Mm-hmm. But that was it. I'm like, there's nothing serious enough to where it would be like, oh my gosh, like I need to rush her to the hospital because internal bleeding. You know what I mean? Like my child fell off the top of the playground. Mm-hmm. But a huge difference. Yeah. So I played it like it was. You know what I mean? Went home, laid her down. She wanted to lay down for a minute. So I laid her down. She has her own bed, actually, at my house. I have a bed for my daughter, and I have a bed for her. Laid her down next to her, and then cooked dinner. I cooked mac and cheese and vegetables.
Was she playing at the house when I got back? Was she okay then?
She was playing for like a second, and then when she wanted to go lay down. So in my daughter's room, she has a TV. She has all this stuff that they just love. So that's like the little spot, and then they have a playroom too. She went and lay down, and then just for a minute, and then I was like, Fallon, are you hungry? You want dinner? And she ran. You can ask Jeff. I'm not yelling, so you just didn't. She ran to the kitchen. I'm thinking, oh, baby, she's hungry. She feels good. She's great. She made me lay down for a second, whatever, we're cool. And then doesn't eat. And I'm thinking, okay, that's weird. You know what I mean? You were just so hungry. I'm not giving you candy, you know, or I'm just going to keep giving you candy. And like, that's like, I think what her parents might do, say, just easier way out is candy and chips.
Just to make it easy, just to get the food. And yeah, I get it.
And I'm
It's
overweight.
not great parenting, but hey.
No, I get it too, but I'm overweight and I don't want to do it to my kids. So basically I'm just trying to like have healthy options at my house.
Okay, cool.
So anyway, she didn't eat. Harper, I ended up giving all the food to my dog. I literally just threw it. Or she had like 2 bites. She had like 2 bites. I think she had like the veggies and then maybe 1 shell of a noodle.
Barely anything.
And then the rest I just gave to my pet because I ran out of dog food and
It happens.
I couldn't go to the store. I was trying to cook dinner, trying to do all this. Didn't want to leave her. So we stepped outside for 5 minutes, whatever, 10 minutes, smoke stay. I don't even know how long it was. Not long at all. Go back in there and check on her, and she's looking like this. So I'm like, what is that about?
Yeah.
Like, so my daughter has a unicorn. I built her like a unicorn. You saw it, the Christmas tree.
Yeah.
And she was just like this.
Yeah. Eldon and you get them out of here. I'm going to go talk with them real quick. Yeah. So there's no, just so we can get this whole thing going.
Am I talking too much?
No, you're fine. You're fine.
In the middle of Kirsty describing the events leading up to Fallon being hospitalized, the lead detective excuses himself again to go into the other room and speak with Kirsty's partner, Jeffrey Myers.
She was, and then that's when y'all called when she had the distant look, I guess, that when you called the ambulance?
She had the distant look. I put her in the tub because shell shock. You know what I mean? That cold water.
Yep.
Sometimes can, just do the trick, just real fast. So she was in her diaper and even still in her socks. And because I don't want to shell shock her too bad.
Just put her in the tub with her socks and diaper?
Like literally like sat her down like this, shine the cold water, held her back, like the back of her neck like this.
Uh-huh.
And nothing. Didn't even respond to the water.
Put yourself in Kirsty Flood's situation for a moment. A 2-year-old that you're watching for someone else is displaying signs of cognitive decline so severe that they're refusing to eat and are unresponsive. What would you do? You'd likely call for help immediately. What kind of person runs a cold bath to submerge an unresponsive 2-year-old child in it in their diaper and socks? Shell shock is a term that started being used during World War I to describe a type of PTSD some soldiers experienced at war. This has nothing to do with resuscitating a toddler that's unresponsive by submerging them in cold water. What's even more frightening is that Kirsty made the statement that this can sometimes do the trick, as if what she said is common practice. Bizarre doesn't even begin to explain this.
So she just lost consciousness?
Yeah.
You're saying that after she had fallen in the at the park.
Well, her dad just told me he had the flu yesterday. Or on Monday.
Okay.
And she's been sick.
Okay.
And so I say that to say she's been sick because she got my 8-month-old son sick, my daughter sick, all of us sick. You know how that goes.
Yeah.
And that was a couple weeks ago, but they said it was a sinus infection. And then on Monday he calls me. I don't watch her on Mondays. calls me around like, I don't know, 8 in the morning or whatever. He's like, hey, can you watch Fallon? I need to go to the hospital. I feel like I have, or I feel like I'm super sick. And then apparently he had the flu. And then he drops her back off at my house. And I'm just thinking like, I don't even know. Do you know what I mean? Like, I just wouldn't do that. We don't think the same.
Yeah.
He's also on methadone. So, you know, he no judgment at all. But I just know that your mental state, if you're on methadone every single day, is not going to be the same as it would be if you were.
Yeah.
Methadone is a synthetic heroin. They need to take that off the street. I don't know why the doctors still give that out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
If Kirsty's assertion that Cameron has been prescribed methadone by a doctor is correct, it's likely to help him deal with coming clean off an addiction to opioids. Methadone helps reduce withdrawal symptoms that can be dangerous and even life-threatening. If used correctly under a doctor's supervision and not abused, this is a good way to get your life back under control. Kirsty still seems set on painting Cameron as a bad guy, but she's doing a poor job of it. And again, whether or not he is, still doesn't explain what happened to Fallon.
Okay, so basically now I think I'm more clear at least. So when the kid when she had basically, I guess, fallen off the swing there at the park, she was, you know, talking and doing her thing back at the house as far as she would go. She wanted to go to sleep and that kind of thing. So she was.
The weird thing is that she wanted to go to sleep.
Okay.
Concussion?
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, but I mean, she was communicating like you're right. I mean, she was just walking and things like that. Yeah.
It's perfectly normal for a 2-year-old little girl who initially woke up at 6 a.m. and has been playing all day to need a nap at some point. I don't need to look up any professional advice to attest to this because I have a 2-year-old who often naps in the afternoon, especially if the day has been an active one. For example, playing at the park.
I guess from what I'm understanding, the kid is pretty ill, you know, to this point, but that's what we're trying to find out. I mean, you're saying that if she may have taken a little tumble off of a slide, but yet she was still walking, doing things, then went to sleep for a little bit, and then you came and saw her later. I'm trying to go up what you're telling me.
She always has
And she just had like a distant look about her, and then now at what point did it go from that to put her in and she's unresponsive in the tub?
Have you ever seen a kid do that?
Do what?
This.
I mean, looking to the left or right.
No, like literally like looking at you and then just go like this. And then just stop and not look back.
Okay. So you're saying she looked either left or right, one of the two sides, but just kind of looked up and that was it.
That freaked me out right there. I was like, okay, that's weird. To me, that just screams like, I don't know. I don't even know. But I know that that's something I'm unfamiliar with. And being a mother, if I'm not familiar with it, just like the CPR thing, that's why we call the ambulance, because I'm not certified and I'm not going to risk someone's life trying to do CPR if I don't know how to do it correctly.
Again, as the father of a 2-year-old, I've watched countless how-to videos on administering CPR and stopping a child from choking. Should I ever need these skills, the internet has quick-ready tutorials that can save a life fast. Also, 911 dispatchers can assist you over the phone easily. There is no way the situation Kirsty is describing would prompt me to run a cold bath and put an unresponsive 2-year-old in it. Also bear in mind, the only thing Kirsty has really described up to this point is that Fallon was looking to one side.
It's just she would never look back. Her eyes stayed glued to the side, is what you're telling me.
No, I mean, eventually, after a couple minutes, it came back.
Oh, okay, okay.
And then we put her in the tub.
Sounds like
2
seizure.
seconds. Just a quick little.
Were you and your boyfriend?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Just a quick little. He was helping me trying to do everything at this point. Put her in the tub for 2 seconds, and then, you know, bring her back.
Well, I mean, as far as that, I'm just saying, like, I'm trying, because I'm a dad.
Rocking her, like we're literally rocking her, holding her. like doing all that, you know, like just the comforting aspect, just trying to get like the whatever, I don't know, trying to do everything that I could motherly do. The natural mother things that you could do. And nothing was working.
Okay.
And then she went, what?
At that point, after you got out of the tub,
I'm like, what? No, seriously, like, what is going on? Like, I could see if like poison or like something that would, you know what I mean?
yeah.
They need to run some tests on that girl. They really do.
All right.
And they need to run some tests on her. I don't know what to do from here on out though, as far as like, I'm her nanny and I'm her all of this, and I don't know. I'm afraid of her mother's. I don't know if I should go to the hospital.
I'm afraid of her mother.
And give her a hug. As if that was me.
The situation is way past hugs, and listening to Kirsty continually try to convince the officer that she's a great person who cares about Fallon is getting exhausting. When the lead detective returns, it's obvious that he's had enough and he's no longer playing Kirsty's game. He wants answers, and he asserts to Kirsty that he believes she has them. It's time for them to strip away that hope they gave her earlier in the interview.
Okay, so let's get into the meat and potatoes of it, okay? She's in bad shape. Like real bad shape.
Like, what do you mean?
Like she might not make it through the night.
What?
Yep. So I'm gonna read you some stuff because I have some concerns, okay?
Miranda?
These are your Miranda rights. You're not under arrest, but you're here in the police station. I'm gonna ask you some pretty hard questions, so I want you to know what your rights are. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say will be used in court as evidence against you. You have the right to talk to a lawyer for advice before you ask any questions and to have him or her with you during questioning. If you cannot afford a lawyer, one will be appointed for you without cost, and he or she may be present at all times during your questioning. If you decide to answer questions now without a lawyer present, you will still have the right to stop answering at any time until you talk to a lawyer. Do you understand?
Yes.
Okay, so what we have here and why I'm concerned. Do you want to know all the issues that she has?
Yes.
Okay. According to the doctors in the ER,
Yes.
she has a skull fracture.
A what?
A skull fracture. Her brain is swollen and bleeding. She also has internal bleeding where she has, according to the doctor, let's see here, her belly is full of blood. She's got an injury to her liver, her spleen, and her colon, and is still actively bleeding inside. She has no brain function.
Oh my God, stop.
She's got bruises all over her body.
Stop.
She's got bruises all over her head. The external part of her head is swollen. She has bruises literally all around her head. I can show you pictures. So that picture you showed me just a few minutes ago, she doesn't look like that right now. She is bad.
And this is precisely the hole that detectives let Kirsty dig for herself by allowing her to talk and show them pictures she took of Fallon at the park that day. There's very little question as to whether or not Fallon's own family could have caused what happened to their daughter. And Kirsty's own rambling testimony has begun to box her into a time frame where only her and Jeffrey could have possibly been around Fallon when the injuries occurred.
You think it's the blood rushing to her head and all that stuff? You know, when you're laying in a...
So when she was dropped off this morning,
Yeah.
how did she look? How did she act? Did you notice anything that was out of the ordinary?
Her dad just told me she had the flu. I mean, he had the flu.
That's it.
That's it.
You didn't see any bruises on her head, on her belly, and
She had scratches right here.
from a possible dog scratch, right?
She had a scratch right here, and then she had a bruise right here.
Okay.
Yeah, that's it.
So
then I
no,
think she
no,
had-
no bruises up here.
No.
Okay, none of that was there.
Hello, darling.
I mean, she wears her hair like this.
Okay.
She literally wears her hair like this. I would, if I saw a bruise on her head, I would call her mom immediately.
Okay.
I wouldn't just let a bruise just continue to be a bruise, because that's how you get internal bleeding.
Correct.
That's exactly how that happens.
Okay. And she's bleeding internally because she's got injuries to her spleen, colon, liver. And from what you told me, the only thing that happened to her today was the fall off the sled at Morgan Falls Park, where that ground is soft and squishy and bouncy.
Mhm.
So they made it that way so kids don't technically get hurt when they fall.
Right.
The injuries that this child has, according to the doctor, are acute, which means they have just recently happened.
There was absolutely no way that just happened.
So these injuries this child has are not consistent with what you're telling me happened. The injuries this child has are from some severe abuse or injury.
How long have you had her today? Just as a
Oh my, I can't even believe. How exactly? How would that even have happened?
You tell me, because we weren't there. Were you the only one with the child today?
I was around a bunch of people at the park.
No, when did
Oh.
you get the child? Were you caring for the child by yourself today?
I always care for her by myself, always.
Okay.
Every day. There's never been an issue, ever.
What time today did you get her? Or yesterday now?
6 o'clock in the morning.
Oh, you had her all day long?
Yeah.
Okay.
Something's happened that we're not being told has happened.
There
Because those injuries just don't appear.
There is absolutely nothing that I would ever do to a child, first and foremost. Second off, if you ever look at my kids, they've never been touched, and they never will be. I don't believe in violence. So the fact that that's an acute thing that just happened,
And you didn't notice any of these injuries on the child beforehand.
I grabbed him the minute I saw him and called the ambulance. Does that add up to you? In your head, does that add up to you?
Lots of crazy things can happen.
If you're concerned about something and the first thing you do is grab somebody and call the ambulance.
Kirsty makes it sound like she was so concerned with Fallon's condition that the first thing she did was ask Jeff for help and then call an ambulance. But she'd already admitted to running a cold bath in which she submerged an unresponsive toddler before holding her and rocking her. This was all seemingly before she called for help. Either Kirsty wasn't that concerned with the child's well-being, or her concerns were more deeply invested elsewhere. Kirsty doesn't see what the detectives don't understand about her side of the story.
I don't understand where there would be a confusion about that.
Well, the confusion is the kid has injuries, severe injuries that she might not make it through the night that we're saying just appeared out of nowhere. How is that not confusing?
No, that is extremely confusing. And the only thing that I could even think of is if she tripped walking with Harper on cement. That's it.
Those injuries?
God.
Or minute, right? They're minute. Those are little.
No, the injuries she has are not little.
No, that's what I'm saying.
So her tripping and falling would not cause those injuries. Her skull is broken. Her skull is fractured.
I don't even understand.
Did Jeffrey do something?
Absolutely not.
So tell me how this happened.
Neither of us are violent people.
Basically, if you've got the kid, the reason I'm asking, from 6 in the morning, right?
Yeah.
Maybe at 6, roughly, almost 24 hours ago, because we're working on 2 in the morning. A child with a fractured skull is not going to just make it through the day and then just decide by the end of the afternoon that she's sick.
Because you're saying during the whole day, she's doing fine, everything's great, nothing's going on. All of a sudden at dinner time, she starts acting weird.
That's what doesn't make sense to us, because the fractured
Her and
skull
Harper
is-
played in the room all day long. I had that in a text message,
Okay.
and that's
You went to the
exactly
park,
what I
right?
said. Yes, and I watched my son. I also have live footage in my home.
Okay.
Do you have access to that?
I do.
Okay. What's it recorded on?
Wise.
Wise. Okay, I don't know that one.
It's WYZE. The fact that she has all of that is heartbreaking, but the fact that any of that would ever happen under my watch in my life,
Oh, no, bitch.
it would never happen.
Oh, no, bitch.
So this Wise recording you have,
Yes.
is it through an app or is it actually hard recorded like a DVR or something?
It's through an app.
Through an app.
Yes.
Okay. How do we get access to that?
I have an SD card I could find screen probably. Like in it, I could pull it out. It's basically the whole, let me see.
What you looking at?
I'm going back. What's today's date? The 9th, right?
It is now the 10th.
I don't want to delete anything.
Kirsty searches her phone for the cloud-stored video feed from the camera system in her house. When detectives realize that she's pulling up video that could be used as evidence, they likely move over to monitor the situation to make sure nothing gets deleted. And nothing seems out of ordinary on the camera, but when Kirsty's phone dies, the detective leaves to get a charger for it.
Let me try. All right. We gotta keep that charge.
While the detective is out of the room, Kirsty appears to be nothing shy of defeated. It's clear the questioning is not going her way, and it seems like it's taking a toll on her. When the detective turns with the charger, Kirsty asserts that she needs to go soon because of her kids.
Is that the right one for you?
Yeah. Thanks.
Try to over yourself here. Need to charge out.
I gotta go soon with my kids.
While she's not under arrest, she has been read her rights and detained, which means she's not free to leave at this time. The detective will continue to let her think she's there on her own free will for now, in order to keep Kirsty talking and let that phone charge. It's clear he thinks he's onto something.
Yeah. So has she ever come to your house? Like did you ever suspect it other than?
Like I saw, just random bruises on her legs. See, the thing about Harper is that
Kids get those things.
is exactly as I said. Harper would have them everywhere. If someone were to look, they'd be like, "What? This kid is clumsy." You know what I mean?
I'm not worried about the ones on her legs or like on her elbows. Because it happens.
The head thing.
Well, that and also she got bruises all in her abdomen where she bleeds.
How does that even happen?
Someone has to abuse that kid pretty hard.
That doesn't even make sense to me how that would even happen. Especially in the situation, like, first of all, she pretty much lives in my house. She doesn't sleep there, but she's there every single day. Never had any issues ever.
Fallon's mother claimed Kirsty watched the child for 3 days a week. At the start of the interview, Kirsty stated it was 3 to 4 days a week. Now she's upping the frequency to every day. I'm not sure what Kirsty hopes to accomplish by doing this. I'm not sure she knows either. But either way, it's probably not helping her case.
But my thing is, and I can look here and you probably done this a million times or whatever, I didn't touch her. I would never hurt her. Literally. I've given her, ask her mom, I just bought her a kitchen. I literally give her all Harper's clothes, all her hand-me-downs. I feed her, I bathe her every day. her mom never has to do any of those things. I do all of it.
Yep.
Because I love her.
She
Yeah, so, like,
3 times that entire
He's telling me this.
conversation.
It's basically like he's telling me that I'm almost like losing potentially, even though I'm not going to claim that. Like, a chump.
Kirsty has not been accused of any crimes so far, but since the start of the interview, she's been desperately hell-bent on convincing the detective that she's nonviolent and would never hurt Fallon. Her constantly defending herself in this way is red flag city.
It's difficult, and I know sometimes it's easy just to lose your cool and things happen, and I get it. I just need to know.
But I would never lose my cool on that level. I would never lose my cool on that level. I don't even have that type of hatred in my heart.
I don't think it's a hatred thing. I think maybe things just get out of hand.
I mean, literally, the only thing I could think of, and this is like far-fetched, but I know Harper would have probably came and told me, unless they were, just playing and Harper just kind of played big sister and handled it herself or whatever. But, maybe Grace jumped on her. I don't know.
Grace is Kirsty's pit bull dog. She has so far attempted to potentially aim blame at Fallon's stepfather, a playground slide, possibly someone random at the park, and now finally, her dog.
And the only thing is that I can think of is that in the hallway, vinyl. It's vinyl. It's shit. The whole apartment is shit. I mean, you see how I'm under a whole court case with them because of how it's living and how dangerous it is. Because Fallon actually almost stepped on there was a flipboard underneath the sink. She almost stepped on the nail, an old rusty ass nail. You know what I mean? And it's like there's just stuff everywhere. But that's the only thing that I can think of would be where.
We can add Kirsty's allegedly dangerous apartment to the list of only things Kirsty can think of that may have harmed Fallon that day.
I mean, there was a little bit of a point where I closed my door. Sometimes I close my door because my kid she'll walk in and out, in and out, in and out, in and out. You know what I mean? And yeah, I can admit to that. But like,
about close your door.
Yeah, I could admit to closing my door today. Yeah, for like at least an hour ish. You know what I mean?
Ish.
Because Holden was asleep.
Is this before you went to the park?
Yes.
She's just admitted to basically neglecting a 2- and 4-year-old for an hour in her dangerous apartment while she closed her bedroom door and slept. It's not a great look for the self-proclaimed super nanny. But when the other detective confirms that this was before the visit to the park, Kirsty likely realizes this excuse won't fly either. She then begins hiding part of her face with the mask. This may be a self-soothing technique to hide her rising nerves.
Well, it might
So I don't know what you want me to do. I don't know.
My concern is you're the only one.
We got distracted. The court went to lunch and I was clicking on other trials things and we stumbled across this one. And Karen Rea went back about half an hour ago and I haven't been back there. Well, I don't know how much is left of the Karen Rea thing, but there's an hour of this left, so it's 5:40 a.m. So I might just keep this running and go and watch it in bed. And I'll do the rest of Karen Rea tomorrow. The afterwards stuff. Beautiful. Sleep timer is on. So there's about an hour left of this. And then it will turn off. And I'll see you all tomorrow. I need my beauty sleep. Enjoy. Have a good one. And I'll be good. We can add it.
Was with them all day. And these injuries happen. And we're saying we have no idea how they happen.
Like, if I could give you an answer right now that would just solve the problem, I would, but I don't have an answer for you. The only two things I could think of is falling on cement,
Which we didn't see happen.
which we didn't see happen. Grace, about that,
Which we didn't see happen.
which we didn't see happen.
Did you hear her cry out at all today?
I mean, I'll hear, Fallon is the most quiet thing you'll ever, ask her mom. Like, he doesn't cry.
Yeah.
So, you know what I mean?
Yep.
So that's not even my kid, you would hear from miles away if someone's brushing her hair.
Yeah. Okay.
There's a big difference.
Gotcha. All right. Give me a minute.
Okay.
Boom, boom. Out of chat.
So anything, are you good on your, you good on the drink right now? So
Yeah,
anything else?
but I need to get my kids, but
All
yeah.
right. Well, just hang tight for 1 second. We'll see where we're at.
All right, thanks.
It feels odd to me that detectives left Kirsty in the room alone with her phone that may have evidence on it. They may not have the right to take it from her yet, but I feel like the right thing to do would be to monitor her while she's detained and in possession of the device. But that's just my opinion. It's possible they were still under the assumption that the phone was charging. Either way, with the detectives out of the room, Kirsty is frantically texting someone. When the detectives return, Kirsty finds a spot in the video feed from the cameras in her house that shows Fallon at about 7:56 p.m. She seems to think this supports that what she's been telling the detectives is true, but in reality, it just further serves to vindicate Fallon's parents or a possible stranger at the park. It also brings Kirsty's playground slide theory into question.
Has it charged up?
A little bit.
Can you see if you can pull up the camera again?
She's saying she wants me to come back and get the kids, so I have to go soon.
This is from Y. It's WY. Let's see if we. Now, does it download the video to the SD card, or does it just go up to the cloud, like the app?
Ben?
The video for the camera.
Sorry, I just lost my mind here.
You see?
The pyramids.
How can I get a copy of the video?
That's holding. Right there.
Okay.
In the little jumper. That's Fallon. Looks like right there.
Where's Fallon at?
Someone just gave him a kiss. I showed her the lows. There we go. Where'd she go? There, thank God. Can you see her being normal?
Ocean?
Did you just see that?
Go back.
Ghost.
No, I think it's just floating around.
No, it was ghost.
It was a fly or mob or
It was
something.
okay.
Set your dog right there, right?
Yeah, let's let this play. Because that's a good time for him. You know
What
what I
time
mean?
is that roughly?
7:42. There's me.
And here she is.
Making plates. Yep, see, I told you. Oh, as well, I'm telling you. It's mind blowing. Look at her.
What time you showing there?
This is 1956:25. What is
Okay,
it?
so almost 8 o'clock.
Military time.
Whatever happened to Fallon clearly occurred after 7:56 p.m. on the night of December 9th.
See? Try it again. She wouldn't do it. Took her back again. See, it's resilient. Like, I tried and tried and tried. That should show you right there how much I care about this kid. I'm like, I don't want you to go to bed hungry. But she just, I don't know how her mom does it at their house. If they don't feed, I don't get it. I don't get if they just give them candy and chips. But so I tried again. And then that's when I went to the back, I guess. I think that's when my dogs decided it was free game. Baldwin's right there. That's when me and him both went to the back to check on her. Because I was like, she's looking kind of weird. She's not eating. She's, you know what I mean? And then he suggested him or I suggested the bathroom real fast. And then I got her in a Milwaukee towel and I literally just rocked her and rocked her and rocked her and rocked her. And then I started freaking out. My mother instinct started kicking in. I was like, something's not right. Something's all right. You know what I mean? And then that's when we called the ambulance.
Kirsty goes on to explain that she tried to get Fallon to eat several times and she wouldn't. She also tells detectives that Fallon's mother had been on FaceTime to Fallon until Kirsty's phone died. Right after that, Chris called Jeffrey's phone. This was all after 8:10 p.m. The 911 call was placed at 8:59 p.m. It's sad to think that Kristen Friedley may have just spoken to her daughter right before things got really bad.
You don't think that she was like, I don't know, I'm just trying to think about like different scenarios maybe, that she was laying there for a little bit and like Grace stepped on her?
I don't think a dog stepping on him would fracture her skull.
Don't either. I can see like the pressure. You know what I mean? But scratches.
But there's not really any scratches on her abdomen.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. So they're supposed to cancel it out thing too.
And there's, I think for the dog to fracture her skull, I think that's.
No, when you say acute, you know, what does that mean?
They happened recently,
What is recently?
like today.
So it could have been this one
Like how early this morning do you think?
before you forced to came to my house.
It's almost painful to watch Kirsty grasp at any straw she can find to explain what happened to Fallon. Either her or Jeff are the most likely people to hold the answers to the questions everyone's asking.
I was at what? Can I see your wise thing one more time?
Yeah.
There's
I really gotta go. My neighbor's texting me over and over again.
no, I understand. Well, can I see this right before you get going? Because this was that's what we're trying to.
Yeah.
Because this is going to help. So is this right here beforehand?
The other detective appears back in the room again, and this time he's accompanied by a third female officer who just so happens to have the same camera system Kirsty does. While they may not have seen exactly what they were looking for on the camera's recorded feed before, this time they're searching for something that can paint a better picture of what happened to Fallon, something that can't be seen on camera.
Is there a way to get a length of the video?
I haven't tried that. You can just share right here. You can share the camera and add new users, which I don't think is quite the same thing. It's app based. I don't have access to the website, so you kind of.
It's pretty cool though.
Yeah, it's a good camera. I'm happy with it.
Yeah. I've had
Can
it
you
for a few years.
can you see if you can get the sound to it now?
Yeah.
Let's see, and just
Well, she said it knows what I know for the sound on the bottom left, but it's got bumpers. Sometimes they're slow because
It's
they're
very- that's
Wi-Fi
it.
based.
Yeah, it's $30.
But say we want to get a copy of the video from today.
Let me get back to you on that. Give me a second to kind of.
Do you know what
play
your
around.
hours of calibration is? Like you usually or whatever?
I would have to get that for you. Yeah, I just showed you the full video.
Yeah. But
I don't want you accessing my, then that way you could like literally watch me at any time.
Well, all I want is from the time, like from 6 a.m. until,
I just showed you the whole thing.
well, we saw part of it, but when we're scrolling through, it's choppy for actually being able to watch the whole thing. You hear what I'm saying?
We just did this.
We did. And when we stopped scrolling for dinner time, it went by itself. And it showed us, we actually saw the video playing.
Detectives want a copy of the stored video recording, and they also want to enable the sound just in case they're missing something. Obviously, if they could hear what occurred, it might give them some insight. But Kirsty doesn't like this, and seems to feign willful ignorance as to why the information would be needed. A totally innocent person would likely easily cooperate with law enforcement in this scenario because they'd have nothing to hide. Kirsty eventually agrees to email the full video to detectives once she gets home.
And I hate to say like anything against Cameron, but like, you're a father, right?
Mhm.
If you're wiping some random kids, Tata, and they go, Dada. Would you think that's weird?
Huh?
Okay. She does it all the time. Just not like, I've even like literally gone like this, like even like on your pelvic thumb right there, just to kind of like see if like she's like, oh, you know, from pressure.
So today, did she wear a diaper or is she quite trained?
She wears diapers.
Okay.
I buy all of her diapers.
So when you changed her today,
Mhm.
did you notice any kind of bruising down there at all?
No.
Kirsty keeps on talking to detectives about how good she is to Fallon and how much she does for her before going back to the topic of Fallon's stepfather, Cameron. This is a recurring theme in both Kirsty Flood and her partner Jeffrey Meyer's interrogations. Kirsty alleges that Cameron did time for child abuse, specifically rape or molestation, and she claims Chris's family made public Facebook posts specifically about this. In a later interview with police, Kirsty alleges that Chris denied the allegations, said they were misunderstandings, and had her family remove the posts. Now, this wouldn't be the disturbing truth if I didn't consider the information and do some digging. I did find old charges unrelated to anything Kirsty asserts. I also found a recent charge against Cameron Gant from March 29th of 2023 for violation of a family violence order. Apparently, there was a temporary protection order, or TPO, issued against Cameron Gant for Kristen's sake. He allegedly broke this in a non-violent way by canceling her phone. I'm not exactly sure why the TPO was issued in the first place, but I do know Chris and Cameron are no longer together. While Kirsty's claims are concerning, she has so far been caught in several lies and changed her story multiple times in her interviews. Her boyfriend Jeff does the same thing throughout his interrogation with detectives. Also, the fact remains that Cameron was nowhere near Fallon during the time when the damage occurred. I can't demonize Cameron Gant on charges, most of which happened 10 to 15 years ago, that do not in any way correlate with Kirsty's claims or the injuries that Fallon sustained while in her care. Kirsty's lies and her attempts to redirect suspicion aimed at her, at Cameron, still aren't working. Whether or not Cameron Gant is a good person is not something I can conclude, but I can conclude that he didn't kill Fallon.
Who said he has a child abuse past?
She did.
Okay.
She knows. The whole
What kind of
family.
child abuse past?
I'm not sure if it was an aggravated or not, but I know he did some time. You wonder when you do things like that, you don't normally. It's kind of like one of those things. It's either in you or it's not. And
After talking about Kirsty's allegations towards Fallon's stepfather, she asks when they will know an update on Fallon's condition. It's at this point in the interview that things really heat up.
when do we know? Like when?
I don't know how long it's going to take for her to come out, or if she doesn't come. I don't know. They're doing everything they can to help her.
They can send babies out of the NICU.
They sure can.
They're premature with nothing.
They can. She has suffered a lot of damage, though. She has suffered a lot of damage. And these are doctors in CHOA who specialize in kids. And they're telling me she has fractured skull, brain bleed, swollen brain, injured liver.
Thank you, Israel.
Was I asked which one was your apartment key? So that would be looking up for you.
Oh, we're gonna go home, right?
I don't know right now. And here's why we're still here is because she has all these injuries. And the person she was with today is you. And I need to know, and I need to find out how she got all these injuries. And I get we're watching the video. This is what makes everything confusing. Because these injuries just didn't happen out of nowhere. These injuries happened somehow. You're the only person that was with her all day.
That's not even fair. You cannot pin that on me.
I'm not pinning anything on anyone.
Yeah.
I'm trying to figure out what happened.
Wow. I have children, I have dogs, I have a whole life.
And I understand.
No, I don't think you do.
I do.
She's about to take my car and my keys.
No, she's not taking your car.
Where is she going with my stuff?
She came to get the key to lock up the house.
Why?
Because we served a search warrant at your house.
For what?
Because it's a high possibility this child was injured at your home.
And you didn't find anything, did you?
I don't know. I'm not there.
Wow.
But you have to look at it. What if you were in my shoes?
I can't
what would
believe you right
think?
now. You really just flipped the table.
If
That's
you
what
were-
y'all do, don't you?
If you were in my shoes, what would you think?
I'm not under arrest.
Right now you're detained.
I'm not under arrest.
Right now you're detained.
Well, I'm about to call a lawyer then if you're going to play this game.
Okay, you're calling a lawyer.
You're not going to keep me here. I have children I have to go take care of. You
Right
understand
now
that?
you are detained.
I have children.
I understand that.
Where's Jeff?
He's over there. He's in the other room.
So what are you saying?
I'm trying to figure out who hurt this child.
Neither of us hurt this child. Maybe you
How
should
did
go.
this child get injured then?
I don't know how she
She was
got
with you
injured. You
all
just
day.
saw videos of her running around and fine. What else
And
do
I
you
get that that video
need?
doesn't show the whole other part of the house.
Why else? Okay, if she's so injured, why would she be running around like that? Have you ever thought about that? An acute injury? Don't you think she would be laying down?
So you tell me,
If she was hurt, wouldn't she be laying down?
what could have happened when you took her off screen?
So you think I took her off screen, went and
I
beat
don't
her,
know. I need to know. what
broke her
happened, though.
skull,
She's got a fractured skull,
bled her inside,
and she might not make it to the night.
and then brought her back out to feed her? And everybody else was just running around fine? Does that make sense to you?
Crazy things have happened. I know what is going on in this child's body right now. And it doesn't just happen out. So you're saying that she got to your house, she was fine this morning.
It
All day long,
was
she's
6
fine.
o'clock in the morning. And this is exactly what happened. We don't sleep because we have a newborn.
I understand.
He leaves at 6 o'clock, it's 5:30 in the morning. He's gone. I lay her down with Harper half the time. They go to bed. It's 6 o'clock in the morning. I try and catch some more sleep while I can with Holden. So I was sleeping in with Holden. She was in the room with Harper. They played.
Did Harper tell you anything about the dog doing anything?
I can ask Harper.
But she has some AK statements like, oh, dog did this all throughout the day.
Harper was in there for so long with her.
Mhm.
That's what you don't understand. They were playing all day in there. I even have a text message that said they were playing all day. Now we're about to go to the park.
Yeah.
I said in her room, they were playing all day. Did I not? Why would I say that? What? Come on, man. Don't do this to me. Don't ruin my life.
I'm not ruining your life.
No, you're on the cusp.
I'm trying to figure out
am
what
a
happened with this baby.
mother.
I understand that.
No.
I'm trying to figure out what happened with this baby.
I did not do anything to that little girl. And you are not about to ruin my life over that.
I'm not doing anything.
I'm in the midst of getting my entire record cleared from 2000, back in the day, 2010.
Okay.
I have busted my ass in life to get to where I'm at right now.
Okay.
And I have helped her mother, and I've been there for her, and I've done all of this, and you're going to sit here and you're going to tell me, do you think I hurt this little girl?
I don't know what happened with this little girl. I just know she was with you, and now she's injured to the point where she might not make it.
We were also at a playground. They were also in the room. Do you understand that things happen in little girls that don't cry and don't talk, don't say anything? Do you
The
understand
massive
the
amount of
bruising?
trauma that this child has sustained internally,
What do you mean, what?
that she was hurt really bad.
How?
You tell me, I wasn't there.
How would, do you see bruises?
On the baby?
Yes. I only saw that and that. Where did you see them? Where are the pictures? All over her head.
You want to see a picture of the baby?
All over her head. No, I don't. This is going to make me sad.
Are you sure? Because I can show you. Do you want to see?
Yeah, go ahead.
Those weren't in your photo.
Because blood.
That is not blood. That's a fresh bruise.
Those blood clots. Those are blood clots, and you're not a doctor. Just to let you know. Exactly what she had. Exactly what she had in that picture. And the only thing that she had in that picture.
But what she didn't have in that picture is right there in the middle of her forehead.
Blood.
That's not blood. That's a bruise.
What do you think?
That's a bruise.
Okay,
Look at her nose. So let's look at that. Look at her nose. Look at her forehead. All right? That is your picture,
Right,
right? From today. That's from today.
right.
I don't see those bruises.
That's exactly my point. That's exactly my point. The blood.
So there's no bruises.
So you're telling me there's no bruise right there?
That one we saw, yeah. But look in the middle of her forehead. Look at her nose. There's nothing there.
You can't see that there's a hair right there.
There's nothing there. There's nothing there. I'm not making this up.
She fell off a slide at the playground after that too.
And you said
You're
she
trying
landed
to
on her
pull this
back.
out of, yeah, you're trying to pull this out of.
But how did she land?
On her back.
So how would that put bruises on her forehead?
You know what else she was doing? Let me go ahead and show you what else she was doing. Since you think this is like some, I don't know what you're trying to do to me, but this is like literally.
I'm trying to get to the bottom of what happened with this child.
Well, those right there, they bounce.
Mm-hmm.
There's a metal bar right there too. You ever thought about that?
Okay, did you see that happen?
Do you know that accidents happen all the time?
I do, because I have 4 kids.
Exactly my point. They cut me some
And then I
slack.
also know that this injury, that doesn't happen, just appear out of nowhere.
Exactly why my 2 kids are 100% healthy. Have you ever thought about that? You ever thought about that?
Yeah, I thought about it.
Okay, then think about it a little bit harder.
But maybe you need to think about, you're the only person with her, and she's injured like this.
I did not hurt that little girl.
What's that? You want to talk to her?
Yeah, I was just getting a couple things down.
I need to go get my children.
Okay, just give it a second. We're actually getting one other thing. We're running something through, and we'll let you know in just a second.
Let us know. Let us know.
That's what I'm trying to do, but I hear you yelling, so I'm coming back here.
Because he's being ridiculous.
As Kirsty's temper rises, the detectives swap for questioning. This is likely so that the detective who was confrontational with Kirsty can leave the room and allow the other detective to de-escalate the conversation before Kirsty asks for a lawyer officially. The detective does this successfully by assuring Kirsty that they want to get things wrapped up shortly before leaving the room. The second detective wants Kirsty to give him her theory on what happened to Fallon.
What's your theory? That's what I'm asking you. How did this child sustain these injuries?
The only thing I could think of, like I told him, is falling.
At the playground?
No, not at the playground. Other than literally walking on the cement, holding Harper's hand while I'm carrying a car seat, walking out to my car and like tripping because this baby doesn't cry. Like I told him 1,000 times.
Mm-hmm.
She doesn't cry. She just gets back up.
Okay.
Okay.
Right.
So Harper pulling her, because Harper is 4, doesn't realize it, pulling her, she could fall.
Where's this at?
Boom!
This is
Morgan Falls.
Okay, fair enough.
The sidewalk walking and I parked way over the side.
So this going on the sidewalk?
Yes.
I got you. So she's falling down onto the concrete there, and your 4-year-old doesn't know any better. She's just kind of
Picking her back up and keeping it moving. That's what she
keeps falling
does.
down. Does this happen over and over, I guess?
Fallon falls all the time.
Okay. I mean, that's why I'm asking you. I wasn't there.
Her mom, ask her mom. That kid falls.
But that's what I'm asking you. So during that time, she kept falling down, kept falling down.
It wasn't like she just repeatedly kept falling down.
Okay. Anything significant? Did she fall off a curb and hit her head? I mean, or anything like that you noticed?
Well, you fall on cement, then that could be.
Well, even kids have the innate ability to like kind of throw their arms and use it as. What I'm saying is that's why I'm asking. I wasn't there. So
if you slip on vinyl, there's concrete underneath it, right?
I understand.
Okay. So there's
It's
also
usually carports. I guess that's what I'm asking. Saying a parking lot doesn't even have a vinyl cover. So
I'm talking about inside my apartment.
Oh, very good. Okay. So
I'm talking about all the possibilities because you're asking me for all of them.
Well, I mean, but I'm being specific. You're saying that she had fallen down in the parking lot and your kid, and that's okay. But that's what I'm asking. It's like, did she
In
do
the
so?
parking lot?
Yeah, at Morgan Falls. That's what I understood you to tell me.
In the side, okay, anywhere we go, Harper wants to hold her hand. Yesterday we went to the playground, she wants to hold her hand.
Right.
They always hold hands. So she, will walk with her and hold her hand or whatever. And a lot of the times Fallon will fall.
Okay, that's fine.
A lot of the times. Knees. My daughter busted
And what
both
I'm
of her
asking you is
knees.
like, again, because of the seriousness of her
Yes,
injuries
yes.
today, when you were watching the kid, was there anything like, ooh, I mean, like I'm probably a substandard dad, but like I'm scared enough of damn kids that I would watch them. I wouldn't have like alone time or anything. Meaning I would never shut my door because I'm afraid of what they do to harm themselves. So if they play around with my 2 sons, and they do, and one goes running and clips a corner, I know I'm like, oh God, and sure enough, they get bruised up and I get all that. But I'm saying,
Okay,
anything
I
stand
can
out to
admit
you?
to maybe not being the best.
I'm not saying
because of my son and me closing the door because of napping. But if she fell, then how am I supposed to know that?
How are you supposed to know if she falls?
Like, this is the thing. The baby doesn't cry. She doesn't cry.
Mm-hmm.
She's one of those kids that's just real quiet, which is another alarming sign. Very alarming sign from the home life.
Okay.
Very, very quiet, doesn't cry, doesn't say much, just always smiling, always happy, the sweetest little thing ever.
Yeah.
So let's say she did fall, she wouldn't say anything. That's what I'm saying. Half the time she doesn't say anything. It's almost like she gets in trouble at home for maybe saying if she did. I don't know. But she doesn't say anything. She literally, my daughter is so dramatic. The whole world will hear about it.
Right.
This kid will fall and get up and keep it moving. This kid will get knocked over by my 60-pound pit and get up and keep it moving.
Yeah.
Harper gets knocked over by my pit and is a whole ordeal. You know what I mean?
they're looking into as far as they try to figure out exactly what the injuries and where they were caused, obviously. I mean, you do understand that, right? We didn't just kind of wake up today looking to pick on you. We're trying to figure out how a 2-year-old who really can't speak for herself got injuries by default, because that's what you do. You care for her throughout the day. That's why we're asking you this. It's not to anger you or to push you in the corner. Or
They told me I'm not, like, when you tell me that I might not get my keys back and I might not be able to get my kid, like, you're basically telling me.
Well, right now we're having to investigate this case. We can't just, there's things we have to do before we do.
I have neighbors watching my children. You guys just did a search warrant on my house.
Yes, that's correct.
You did, and you didn't find anything to do anything.
Well, you gotta wait it out for a second. What I'm telling you is we have to explore all avenues. I'm not gonna lie to you.
What are you waiting on?
I'm gonna check here in just a second, and then I'll see if what the plans are moving forward. But we should be wrapping up here relatively soon.
Wait, I'm so confused. What do you mean you're gonna check?
Well, you check with the lead investigator, because I'm not the lead investigator, so I can't tell you exactly what's going on with this because I guess the best way I can describe it to you.
Do you know like how long?
I mean, again, I was going to go check with the lead investigator. That's
Once Kirsty is alone, she calls her mother on the phone.
I can't believe this. No, I'm not okay. They're trying to fuck me up. Yes. He's in their room. They're trying to fuck my life up. I'm like, so can I go? Can I get my keys? Can I go get my kids? Can I go do this? He's like, we'll let you know in a minute. I'm like, are you taking me to jail? Like, are you about to ruin my life? They don't know. She's in critical condition. The other cop told me she was dead.
While making another phone call, the detectives returned to issue Kirsty a search warrant for her phone. She's also about to find out something that changes everything.
Hey, Kirsten. Are you actually out with someone?
Yeah, I am.
Okay.
What was this?
This is a search warrant.
For what?
We're going to seize your phone.
What?
Yep.
You can't. What?
Yep.
It's a valid search warrant
Valid
from the
search.
judge. So we need to take your time.
So how
Here's the deal. I just called the doctor, and Fallon is dead. No lie. She's at the morgue right now.
Wow.
She's gone.
Wow.
Her injuries were that bad that they couldn't save her.
Did you just hear that? So they're seizing my phone. So I guess how long are we gonna have my phone for?
Probably as long as it takes for us to process it, which could be 24 hours.
Okay, so when then I come back here and get it?
Yeah.
We'll contact you or listen back to you.
So I have Jeffrey's number. I can call him and y'all can come back and get it then.
I know. All right. Well, let me go ahead and read over this paperwork before I
Let me have her copy of sheet.
Okay. All right. Love you. Bye. I actually have quite a few things I have to write down.
But here, before you go.
I have
listen, we're
I
gonna
have
take
a
this-
psychologist appointment
We're
tomorrow.
going to give you these things back, but we're not going to allow anything to be manipulated right now.
It's not going to be
okay? So
manipulated.
we're
It's
going to
in
give
your
that to you right now, okay?
Kirsty's in her custody right now.
I have a psychologist appointment tomorrow. Do you not understand that?
We
I
do
think-
understand
yes,
that.
No, you
I
don't.
need you to this.
No, you don't.
Right
Okay?
now,
But I
Brody is
am
investigating.
You just took it out of my phone. Out of my hand.
I did.
Yes, search
You
warrant.
have-
We
So,
Oh, aren't you lovely?
okay, we'll be right back with you, okay? So. You go to the bathroom or anything?
What do you mean? I'm leaving.
Or-
No, I'm ready to go. You just took everything from me.
Yeah, come in here and sit and we'll talk.
You just took everything from me. You're trying to ruin my entire life.
No, actually, we're just trying to figure out what we got here. Come with me, come here. For 1 second.
No, literally, they're trying to ruin my life, okay?
Yeah, listen. Hey, listen, look at me. Let's walk in here so we can talk, and I'm gonna answer.
No,
any
you guys are
questions.
just taking.
Yeah, you want to explain
Like, I'm
this?
not a human. This is why they talk about y'all the way they talk about y'all.
Okay, and then I understand.
Because y'all don't treat us with respect.
Okay,
You don't
I
even
mean, that's-
have proof or facts
Ma'am.
or anything. You're treating me like that. How dare you? So disrespectful.
Listen.
Seriously, it's so disrespectful.
All right, I'll get something for you. Now listen. Okay, you know. Okay, let me grab something to clean that up.
Kirsty has just been informed that the child she was looking after, who suffered horrific injuries while in her care, has passed away. This is a child she claims to love as one of her own. Yet when she receives the news, her main concern is that her phone is being seized. She shows no immediate humanity for the fact that Fallon has died. Kirsty says she wants to write a few things down from her phone, but detectives are concerned that she may attempt to destroy evidence. And now that the warrant has been signed by a judge and served, they can confiscate her device at any time without her consent. After Kirsty's phone was taken, she sent the following message to Chris.
I don't have a phone. They took it. But I love you and Fallon so much and really hope you know I would never hurt her. She's been with me for forever and has always been so happy. And we both know that. She's the sweetest little angel and never even cried. I love you and I'm praying you find it in your heart to forgive me. And I know I can't say as much as I need to, but I would never hurt her. She was like a second daughter to me. When you're ready, please message me. In the meantime, I'm deactivating my Facebook. I love you.
Kirsty's first interview concluded shortly after this, and she was released pending further investigation into the death of Fallon Fridley. While Kirsty was being questioned, her boyfriend Jeffrey Myers was also questioned by the same detectives in another room. According to Kirsty, he and Fallon's stepfather Cameron worked together at a landscaping company on different crews where Jeff claims Cameron got him a job. Jeff also claims that he and Kirsty have been together since around 2014 and living together since 2017. Jeff admits to being in and out of jail due to addiction, but says that since the birth of his and Kirsty's 8-month-old son, he's been trying to do right by his family. In Jeff's interview, he claims he left work at around 5:30 a.m. on December 9th, and that when he got home from work at around 5 p.m., no one else was in the house. He then proceeded to take a shower like he normally would, and when he got out, Kirsty and the kids had arrived home, he suspects, somewhere in the realm of 6 or 6:30. Jeff is questioned about Fallon's demeanor at this time.
I didn't see her until I got out of the shower. I got out of the shower, and she had already put her to go to sleep. So I didn't see Fallon until she woke up to eat dinner. That's when I saw her.
So she was put to bed for like a nap?
Yeah, she was tired. I could hear her crying like she was trying to put her to sleep. Doesn't that, when babies get tired, they start whining or whatever.
Jeff continues on, claiming that he heard Kirsty putting Fallon down for a nap. Next, he played with the kids while Kirsty made macaroni and cheese. So far, according to Jeff, he had yet to have any interactions with Fallon.
So the first time you actually physically saw her was like at 8:30?
I saw her asleep. I saw her napping.
Yeah.
And then she cooked dinner, and then when she made dinner, it was like 8:30, she yelled, "Fallon, come eat." She yelled it a few times. Fallon came right out the room, came and gave me a hug, because that was the first time that I had seen her since I've been home. Really seen her, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
She was fine. She seemed fine. She gave me a hug, sat down at the table, and we tried to get her to eat, and she wouldn't eat, man. I don't know. Kirsty said she deals with that all the time, though, about her not eating. So I don't know what goes on during the day when I'm not there. But
so she came out of the room, ran out of the room like normal. Everything seemed fine.
I didn't think she was going to even hear her name be called, honestly, because she called it from the kitchen. You saw what the kitchen is compared to the bedroom.
It's a little bit ways, yeah.
Right. So I didn't think she was here. She came right out, looked fine, gave me a hug. She made her plate. Both the kids, Harper and Fallon, Holden was already asleep. Sat down at the table. Harper started eating. And
Holden's your son, right?
Yes, sir.
You said he's 8 months.
Yes, sir.
And you said Harper's your daughter?
She's my stepdaughter, pretty much. It's her. She has a baby by now, man. But
you're being the dad.
Yeah. Yes, she's 4. We're about to be 4.
Yeah. Okay.
But they ate. Harper was eating, and she always likes to brag, saying, "Look, I'm eating all my food. I'm eating all my foods," because we're trying to get her to teach Fallon to do that. And so Fallon wouldn't eat. We're like, "Fallon, you don't want to eat. You don't want to eat." We're sitting there. She's just looking at us. She does that sometimes. You know what I mean? Like, she's a very quiet child. But this time, like, I'm trying to get her attention, and she's kind of like staring off to the right, like she wouldn't make eye contact with me.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was weird. So I'm snapping in her face, and eventually she would make eye contact with me and was coherent, like would understand what I was saying.
Mm-hmm.
So we said, "Are you okay? You okay?" And she wouldn't say anything. So she was kind of breathing funny, like, I don't know, like maybe she was trying to catch her breath, but wasn't out of breath. I don't know. It was weird, man. I've never heard the noise that she was making before, but we laid her down. She was fine. We stayed there for a few minutes to make sure that, she was okay.
Okay.
We laid her down, saw that she was okay, let her out and went and smoked a cigarette. We both said, "Now let's smoke a cigarette." I said, "Let's go. When we get done smoking the cigarette, let's go check on Fallon. I'm worried about it." We were both worried about it. She said, we both agreed. He got done smoking a cigarette. I don't know how much time elapsed since then, honestly. No more than 10 minutes, probably 10, 15 minutes. Can't be no longer than that.
Now put yourself in Jeff's shoes. You're starting to suspect something isn't quite right with a 2-year-old in you and your partner's care. She's exhibiting signs that she may not fully be responsive, and her breathing was described as a noise you've never heard her make before. Would your reaction be to disappear outside with your partner to smoke for 10 or 15 minutes and leave the child unattended? Probably not.
So we went back in there, and she was in the same position that we had laid her in on her side, and but she wasn't making any the noise that we had heard from her before. She wasn't doing anything. So I checked her pulse. She grabbed her. She sat her up. We tried to wake her up. She wouldn't wake up. I checked her pulse. She had a pulse. Tried to get her mouth to mouth because I could tell that it was like she had shallow. It was really I could barely feel it. You know what I mean? So we get her mouth to mouth. We don't know how to get mouth to mouth. We should have taken that class, and we said we were going to take that class too before Holden was born about the CPR, but we don't know what we're doing, man. So we put her in the bathtub, trying to shock her into waking up. In that situation, I don't know how to handle anything, man. I've never been in a situation like that.
I get it, man. It's scary. It's scary as hell.
And it's not even my kid, you know what I mean? So
I get it. The first time I had to do CPR on a kid, it wasn't my kid. Man, it jacked me up.
Yeah, I don't want to, you don't know your own strength when you're in a situation like that. So you don't want, I was terrified. I didn't want to have anything to do with it. But
okay. So
we put her in the bathtub. She didn't respond to the bathtub. She was only in there for like 15, 20 seconds maybe. Got her out. I said, call 911 immediately. The lady walked us through how to give CPR. And then you guys showed up.
Yeah. Okay.
The events described are awful to hear. I just can't understand the reasoning behind the cold bath. And Fallon's breathing that Jeff describes hearing might be what's known as agonal breathing. According to WebMD, agonal breathing is
a natural reflex that happens when your brain is not getting the oxygen it needs to survive. Agonal breathing is a sign that a person is near death.
It seems like whatever happened or began to happen to Fallon that caused her injuries started before she sat at that dinner table.
Was anyone helping Kirsty babysit today, or she was just with the kid by herself?
She was just, as far as I know, she was just by herself.
Okay.
She's been doing this for months now, man.
Like since August, something like that?
I know, since summer, taking care of 3 kids with no issues.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So this is like totally
just crazy.
Yeah. I don't know how to feel, man.
It's shocking nowadays.
There may not have been any incidents in the months leading up to Fallon's death while Kirsty babysat, but on December 9th of 2020, there definitely was. And right now, that's all that matters. The detective leaves the room for a little while before returning with the second detective from Kirsty's interview. He explains to Jeff that Fallon is alive, even though, like Kirsty, Jeff was already told by another officer that she'd passed. The detective goes on to describe Fallon's injuries in full detail. Jeffrey Myers acts as if there's no way Kirsty Flood could be responsible.
Like she's getting beat or something? Is that?
It looks like it.
Sir, I'm not just trying to stick up for my fiance because it's my girl and my baby and my mother or anything like that. This girl does not lay her hands on these children. I can tell you that. I promise you that. I've been a witness to this, to her being a mother to her daughter since she was 1, and I've not seen her spank her, not one time. So with these injuries, I don't know what happened with Fallon. We love Fallon like she's our own little girl. Like I can show you pictures where we spend time with her like she's our own kid. So this is completely baffling to me. I don't know where that would come from or how or anything like that. I know that she was sick and her family or her father was, or stepdad was sick or whatever. That's the only thing I know.
Yeah. Well, sickness wouldn't cause the injuries that she has.
The detective goes on to inform Jeff that the injuries Fallon sustained were not caused by normal child activities. These were clearly signs of extreme abuse. Jeff rehashes exactly what happened from the moment he got home again for the second detective, before the leading detective asks Jeffrey if Kirsty has ever hit the children.
You saying you never saw Kirsty ever smack, hit anything to a kid? None of your children never saw her hit Fallon?
Well, Holden's only 8 months old, so but Harper, like I said, sir, that's not my kid. So I don't discipline. I don't do anything like that. I let her handle it because I feel like that's right.
Fair enough. I'd probably do the same thing.
She grounds her. She takes away things. She may yell at her. She may curse at her. But I've never seen her lay her hands on her, not one time.
Yeah.
Not almost 4 years I've known.
And you weren't home when Fallon actually got there this morning, right? You were already at work.
Yes, sir.
All right. All right, man.
I'm sorry.
No, I
I'd like to be more help, man. This little girl was okay.
Yeah, me too, because nobody deserves this.
I'm sorry.
All right, let me we're gonna go confer and we're gonna see what we can get you going here, all right?
Yes, sir, I appreciate it.
After detectives leave the room again, Jeff sits alone frantically texting someone from his phone. I don't know who it is for sure he's messaging, but I wonder if it's Kirsty. If you'll remember in her interview, she was also frantically messaging someone while she was alone. Then when detectives return, they inform Jeff that Fallon is no longer alive.
She is now deceased. And I think now's the time. If there's information that we know that has not been told to us, now's the time. Because it's now or never.
Oh, man.
She is dead. And this time, I'm not bullshitting. She's down to morgue right now.
Detectives go on to inform Jeff of Fallon's injuries, but he maintains that he's given them all the information he knows. He also continues to claim that he and Kirsty treated Fallon like one of their own. As the detectives prepare to leave the room again, one of them brings up the topic of disciplining children.
I'm terribly sorry.
That's crazy, man.
Hey, it is. That's what I'm telling you. I've got kids too. I've had all my kids obviously are beyond 2, but what I'm telling you is that I've had times where I've spanked my child and I was like, damn, did I hit my kid on the ass too hard, and I get mad just like anyone else.
That's why I haven't touched the whole discipline thing, but my son's not old enough yet, so
right.
We haven't even gotten to that point yet. You know what I mean? That's why this is.
Well, I stand by it. We're being recorded.
I got whooped as a kid, and
I don't get me wrong. I mean, no. What I'm saying is, I know there's parameters and limits, but I will never apologize for trying to, because my kids are well mannered. They always say sir and ma'am to people. And they're good. All right. Now there's a person that would listen to say I think I'm a fool and stuff. I don't give a shit. But I'm saying it doesn't, I get if there is, if people fly off the handle and get pissed, because I am a prime, again, I'm not lying to you. I'm incapable of doing so. My kids make me more pissed than anything I've ever seen. Now, I can honestly say I've never done anything, even if that means I go outside and see for a minute, but that's all I'm looking for. If there's something that makes more sense because of this, it's just more helpful if that's the case than to not come forward with it. Okay. And that's what I'm basically saying. Even if it's a notion of something that has been said to you, then I would say so. Say, if not, I'm not asking you to say anything that didn't happen.
I want to help you guys. So that's why I've been truthful with you guys.
Understood.
As much as my knowledge.
So, all right. Well, let me go on ahead and find out what's going on, and we'll keep you up, and we'll try to hurry up as much as we can. But obviously, you can tell this is
serious.
Not something. Yeah, this is something small. So, I'm just going to say this is fine.
After detectives leave, Jeff speaks with someone on the phone and explains the situation. At one point, you can actually hear the moment where Kirsty begins to scream in the other room. This is the point in which things got heated in Kirsty's interview between her and the leading detective.
Psychologist appointment tomorrow. You don't understand that? You don't understand that? No, you don't.
So,
Oh, aren't you lovely?
I hate when she gets wild up like that. I mean, now she gets.
What do you mean? I'm leaving. No, I'm ready to go. You just took everything from me.
Yeah, come in here, sit. We'll talk.
You just took everything from me. You're trying to ruin my entire life. No, literally, they're trying to ruin my life.
All right, that's my girl. I want to make sure everything's good.
We're trying to get her to go down. We're trying to get y'all out of here in the next couple minutes. She's upset, as can be expected in a situation like this. Say, all we're trying to do is get her to calm down, take a seat so we can get y'all out of here in the next, hopefully, a couple minutes. Okay? Like I said, everything's fine. But we got to go through, we have to do our due diligence to continue to investigate it to the fullest. Then we're going to try to get y'all out of here. Okay? That's all it was.
All right.
You good? Need any water? You need direction or anything? Okay.
For sure.
If you get anything, just knock on the door, wave at the camera, any of those. Okay?
All right.
Jeffrey Myers is released shortly after this moment, but this is only Jeff's first interview. The following day, on the 11th of December, Jeffrey Myers and Kirsty Flood are brought back into the police station for further questioning about what occurred 2 days prior on December 9th. Kirsty is under the impression that she's just there to pick up the phone detectives seized the day before. During Kirsty's second interview, she is re-questioned by a female employee of the department in a non-threatening manner. Kirsty claims that she helped Fallon's mother get back on her feet when she was dealing with addiction at the request of Kirsty's own brother. Kirsty says she's the one who talked Kristen into going into detox before Fallon was born. She also claims that Chris has been clean ever since. Kirsty then makes further unsubstantiated claims about Fallon's stepfather Cameron, while also claiming to look after Fallon primarily out of love. She also said she deactivated her Facebook due to the hate she's been receiving online in regards to the death of Fallon. I'm summarizing here because Kirsty rambles quite a lot. Next, Kirsty is asked about whether or not Fallon was a picky eater, which leads back into the topic of the CPR that was administered to the child.
Was she pretty picky eater?
She clearly only ate candy and just shit at home. So at my house, we eat real food.
Yeah.
You know, we try and incorporate all the, you know, the grain, the veggie, the meat, the spicy, all that. We try to do all that.
Yeah.
And apparently the sergeant said she had like a carrot lodged down her throat, or I mean in her esophagus or something. I don't know, because she just really didn't want to eat it. I don't know. But the fact that like all of that accumulated, that's impossible to accumulate that fast. I'm sorry, but it is.
What do you mean?
All the stuff that detective said happened, you know, with her. He said that she has like a brain something, laceration of the spleen. Yeah. Also, the people, this is too loose, on the recording line, I am not CPR certified, but they made me give her CPR for about 8 minutes straight like this, 2 inches deep. She's flat on her back. She's 2.
Yeah.
You don't do that with a 2-year-old. And I didn't think about that till later. You're supposed to flip them over and you're supposed to hit them around the back. There's a reason for it. It's too little right there.
I think Kirsty's wrong about this. I'm no medical expert, but she seems to be describing what's known as back blows that you might give a choking infant. But Fallon was not an infant. Also, Fallon was unconscious. For kids older than 1 and younger than 8, mouth to mouth plus chest compressions are the right steps to take when a child is not visibly breathing and responsive. My understanding is that this is the technique used when the assumption is that the problem persists in the child's lungs or airways. The idea is to reoxygenate the blood to save the child. Kirsty Flood critiquing the 911 dispatcher on how to save a life is rich at best.
For no there was internal whatever. No
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And my mom brought that up. My mom was like, you don't give CPR to a baby like that. You don't do that. You lift them up and you do behind the back like this. Okay. That's how you get it out of them. Okay. You don't do it like that. So whoever that professional was on the phone needs to know that.
Okay. Maybe that's how they're saying that the internal injuries.
That's the only thing I could think of. Like they said something about her stomach.
Oh, okay.
Okay, but the thing is they say go between the nipples, right?
Okay.
So when you're 2 years old, it's just kind of like there's not a lot of area right there.
Right.
So I am 200 pounds. She said to get over her like this, you know, and full force, 2 inches, 2 inches, 2 inches, 2 inches, 2 inches like that.
So like when they say 2 inches, you mean like push down, so go down 2 inches?
No.
Oh, okay.
Hold on. They wanted me to like clap it, and I'm like, I am not. I mean, I didn't stop.
Yeah.
I wasn't gonna stop. I was gonna do whatever I had to do. Yeah. But I'm like, something is not right about this. And then when I would blow the air in her, I would hear this noise in her stomach.
Oh, okay.
And then I would do it again, and it'd be like it's like I don't know what it was, fluid, if what it was. And then she'd go. I mean, it's traumatizing.
I was just gonna say that's really traumatic.
And I had to like literally put her in the tub first thing, cold water, maybe shock her toe, something. This is how to lay like this.
She just laying there.
Nothing. Nothing. And so we immediately called 911 after that. We were like, no, we just. Yeah. I was like, please, 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 if there's a heartbeat, there's a chance. Please, 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 please. For the love of God, don't ruin this girl's mom's life. Please. This is going to change her whole life. I can't imagine.
I can't either.
Like, I love my baby so much, I can't even imagine.
Yeah.
Anyways.
I mean, it sounds like you did what you could.
I tried everything. I tried to make her feel like my home was like her home. I tried to make her feel so special. Her mom said she wouldn't even cuddle with her when she'd come in my house in the morning times. A lot of times she would come and just cuddle with me in the bed. Like literally lay there with me for like an hour or two. We wake up sweating together. That's how close we were. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then everyone that came over, like my mentor came over on Tuesday and he was like, he's shocked when I called him. He's like, oh my God, that girl loved you so much. I'm so sorry. He's like, I could just see it. He's like, she just was so happy and so sweet, but she was so quiet. That's a problem. She never ever cried. She didn't have anything to say. She just so quiet.
Kirsty tries to convince the woman that she has the patience of a saint and plenty of support around her. She also claims that she reports suspected child abuse to authorities frequently.
But I also am in sobriety, and I also have a mentor, I also have a therapist, and I also have a psychiatrist.
You have a lot of support.
I have a lot of support.
Yeah.
You know,
That's really important.
I have a lot of people who are willing to go to war for me for this. They know that, I mean, anyone that knows me knows that I'm absolutely incapable of doing anything to harm the child ever. I called, you know, you talk about defecto people? A lot. Literally, I heard one girl left her kid in a crib, screaming for like 14 hours a day, like multiple days in a row, and her diaper rash was so bad that whatever. So I called. I was like, yeah, I called immediately. You know, I heard another girl, she would always just put her kid in front of the TV and a high chair and just let it sit there all day.
Yeah.
It's not parenting.
No.
It's abuse. It's neglect.
Right.
So, you know, things like that, like the neighbor upstairs, like same thing. Like, you know, you have random men going in and out of your house. You leave at 2 o'clock in the morning every night. Where are you going? You're not going to work.
Right.
What are you doing? Be a mom. You got 3. Come on. Step up. You know what I mean?
Kirsty rehashes the events that led up to the moment that her and Jeff went out to smoke a cigarette, during which time they left the child unattended for 10 to 15 minutes. When they returned, Fallon was completely unresponsive.
And I was like, Fallon, you okay? Fallon. She just, and then I pick her up, limp. And I'm like, oh my God.
This is likely the point at which a reasonable person would definitely call 911.
Oh my God. I knew. I knew right then, no matter what we had to do, we had to call the ambulance.
According to Kirsty's previous interview, this is not when she called emergency services. Kirsty is still leaving out the fact that she put Fallon in a cold bath. As she goes on rambling, her story is inconsistent and all over the place. Kirsty eventually tells the interviewer that she likes her energy and believes the detective who originally interviewed her isn't giving her a fair chance. She's worried about her record before continuing to paint Fallon's family in a negative light.
You can't pull something out of nothing. You know what I mean? So you can't just, I know it's a state where it's like innocent proven until proven, whatever.
Innocent until proven guilty.
Yeah, but you know, that's just bull, because if you put that on my record and I do, which I will, get, you know, proven innocent, if it goes down that route, it's still going to be on my record. You know what I mean? So can he really, really think about everything he's going to be doing and really do the research on the father and stuff?
Yeah. And
the mother,
yeah.
You know, the mother's a drunk and the dad's on methadone. And as a child realization charge, I mean,
right.
The differences are huge.
Right.
In the dynamics. You look at my home, you look at that home, you look at, I'm just being factual. And why was she so little?
Kirsty is left inside the room again for a while before a new, more official-looking detective appears alongside the female cop whom she met last time she was interviewed. Kirsty is about to repeatedly inform the detective that she has a lawyer. And this is where things really take a turn for her as she discovers she's not there to retrieve her phone.
Kirsty.
Hey, how are you?
Good, how are you?
My son. There you go.
Listen, I'm Detective Mike Burson. I'm kind of assisting in this whole case.
I thought I was just here to keep our phone.
You are. And I ran down there and they just about got your phone. You didn't have a property receipt, so it's kind of hard to find it. When you have a property receipt, they can pull it that quick. So it's just going to take a couple minutes, okay?
I'm so exhausted.
I know.
Mentally. You don't understand. My heart hurts so bad. Go ahead.
I understand. I really do. And I want to make this as fast as I can, okay? All right?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Listen, just if we're gonna
I have a lawyer. Do you need to talk to him? I'm not supposed to talk to anybody.
So you're not going to talk to me?
I mean, it just depends what we're going to talk about. I just spent a lot of money on a lawyer for a reason.
Okay, so you have a lawyer.
The lady made me feel like I was somebody I'm not, and I'm not going to be made to feel that way ever again. So my lawyer, that's why I got a lawyer, the way he treated me last night.
Okay, so what you're telling me, you retained a lawyer,
I
correct?
did. I'll give you his phone number.
Okay, no, that's okay. Then I can't talk to you.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, all right. I mean, that's.
It has all the live footage and everything too.
No, I saw the live footage, but no, if you have a lawyer.
You saw it was great, right?
Yeah.
Thank you.
But I can't talk to you anymore now since you got a lawyer.
I'm
Okay?
just saying, sir, please, take into consideration how much I love this baby.
Believe me, from what I saw, I fully understand. Kirsty, I really do. Okay, all right. Sit tight, we'll get you out of here, okay? All right. All right, Kirsty, just swing over here this way. Just move your legs out this way.
Why?
Because I gotta put this on you. Okay?
Why?
Because
I have not. No. You're not about to jam me up right now without. No. I never gave you any information about my lawyer. So you can't detain me.
yeah, we can. You're under arrest.
For what?
You're under arrest.
For what? For what? For what?
Bring it in, trailer next week.
Under arrest.
Under arrest.
For what?
I'll show you the ones in a minute. Once we get you secured.
I need my phone and my lawyer. Right now.
You'll have that opportunity.
Right now. That's why I came here, was for my phone. Y'all actually just entrapped me, is what you just did.
It's actually not called entrapment.
That is entrapment, because Officer Myers just said I would not be getting locked up the minute I walk in here to get my phone. That's entrapment. I know my laws.
Well, you obviously don't.
That's entrapment. He literally just said he would not be locking me up. That's what he just said. And my children are at home.
No, they're not.
No, they're not.
Yes, they are.
No, they're with defects with your mom. They're not with you.
Excuse me, you're not about to pull my leg like that. You need to chill. Okay? Where is Jeff? In my car and everything else that I own is outside.
Still outside.
Where's he?
Jeff's in the lobby.
Does he know you're arresting me?
Not yet. He'll know here in a minute.
That's why you slept. Oh, get it now. Okay.
When Kirsty's phone was searched by authorities, they found something chilling in her search history. At around 10 a.m. on December 9th of 2020, the day Fallon sustained her fatal injuries, Kirsty Flood had searched the following phrases. What type of people enjoy abusing other people's children? And what does it mean to have a sudden urge to beat a child that's not yours? This was just hours before Kirsty asked if Fallon could stay at her house. Evidence gathered from the camera feed in Kirsty's home also painted a better picture of how Fallon sustained her injuries. Kirsty Flood was later indicted on the following charges: murder, cruelty to children in the first degree, cruelty to children in the second degree, felony murder, murder in the second degree, tampering with evidence, and finally, shocking everyone, aggravated sexual battery. Yes, Fallon was alleged by grand jurors to have been violated by Kirsty Flood. That's how sick this monster was. This was how much of a liar she was in her interrogation. And on top of everything, she abused Fallon in front of her own 3-year-old daughter, Harper. According to Chris on the Justice for Fallon Facebook page, Kirsty Flood had also been abusing her own children too. She alleges that authorities went back through weeks of Kirsty's nanny cam footage and found other instances of abuse and neglect. She even claims that Kirsty's young son was left in a walker for as long as 8 hours at a time. Jeffrey Myers was also later arrested and indicted on the following charges: false statements, tampering with evidence, cruelty to children in the second degree, and murder in the second degree. He knew what Kirsty was doing, and he didn't stop it. Then, in a bombshell twist, Kirsty's mother, Karen Flood, was also indicted on the offense of influencing a witness, where it was alleged that she engaged 3-year-old Harper Flood in misleading conduct to prevent her from giving information to Sandy Springs PD in connection with the murder of Fallon Fridley. While Kirsty and Jeff pled not guilty initially, on the 18th of March 2024, Kirsty Flood changed her plea to guilty and received the punishment of life without parole. Jeff also accepted a guilty plea deal to murder in the second degree. He was handed down a 15-year sentence by a judge. His and Kirsty's pleas made it so that Chris would not have to suffer a lengthy trial in court. I guess at the very least, justice has been served to Kirsty. But believe it or not, the battle wasn't over. DFCS placed Harper Flood in the care of her nearest relative, and that relative was Karen Flood. Harper's paternal side of the family say Kirsty used to call them from jail frequently and protest her innocence, but when they started to realize she was guilty, they stopped taking her calls. According to them, this is when Harper's biological father, Avery, was cut off from contacting Harper. Kristen Fridley loved Harper Flood and began to promote a campaign run by Harper's biological family called #BringHarperHome. It was aimed at paying for legal bills associated with taking Kirsty's family to court in order to get custody of Harper, who they say, at the time, hadn't even received adequate counseling after witnessing her own mother beat her 2-year-old best friend to death. The GoFundMe raised over $16,000. In May of 2021, Avery was finally awarded custody of Harper Flood. The last update to the campaign shows countless photos of Harper looking happier than ever with her father, siblings, and paternal side of the family. I have no further updates on Harper's status, but I certainly hope she's doing well and continues to smile. Kristen Fridley continues to post on the Facebook page, where she has since welcomed a son named Asher into the world on December 18th of 2021. She's also looking forward to welcoming a baby girl into the world this year. That baby girl's due date is December 9th, 2024, the day Fallon was attacked. I have little doubt that Fallon's siblings and Harper Flood will ever forget the angel that was Fallon Lynn Fridley. If you see something, say something. Never hesitate to save a life or inform authorities when a child's well-being is threatened. There's no excuse. There are a number of resources that can help. Here's a list of numbers you may need right now. I'm Mr. Black, and this is The Disturbing Truth.
Thanks for stopping in. We hope you will join us again. We all look forward to next time. We get to talk about true crime. Clues. Justice served in an honest fight. True crime tales till the verdict's right. Solving more than just trivial quests, where sentences rule and the defense rests. Our true crime family is great. All types of topics we debate. Smash that like and ring that bell. Hit subscribe, you might as well.